Hello and welcome back to the only show that breaks down, cracks up, skews, and reviews each week's DC Comics. I'm the man who's going to rebuild Red Tornado Lois Lane, Eric Shea.
And I am Jim Warner.
And this is the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast, episode number 479. Did you think my name was Lois Lane there? And you got confused?
No, it got a little longer than usual. You usually have a cadence, I think, to it. And it ended up going longer for me. Hey, everybody.
You heard Lois Lane. That's a name.
I'm like, there he is, Lois. I don't know. Maybe
Hi, everybody.
Maybe you'll have another name later. I don't know. Are you the moon, Eric? I don't know if you are, but hey, all you weirdos, welcome back to the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast. And yeah, we have a ton of books this next couple weeks. I mean, we have 4 books tonight, and then next week we barely have a book, it seems. It's
ton
weird.
Of books.
I mean, it's the idea where DC had, at one point, a ton of books. I was actually talking to you at one point about when we had the 13-hour podcast. Actually, somebody asked me about it today as well. And when I went back and looked at some of those, we had 17 books, one episode. Well, it's nonsense. But yeah, there's not a lot of books, but I don't really recall that many books ending or whatnot. I don't know, Eric.
It's just they're going to load up heavy at the end of the month. Oh, yeah, like at the end of the month, we're going to have like 12 books.
Ridiculous. I don't know. But yeah, so we have all that. And we have some more books coming out as the Dawn of DC progresses, so hopefully they all hit, and we'll include all of them on the podcast. But here we are, as you said. What is it? 479? Is that what it
479,
is? 479,
feeling fine.
479, I feel fine, just like the Beatles said. And we're here.
Did nothing but complain about how you feel like crap. You're a liar.
I said the Beatles. I didn't say me. I don't feel fine. I do feel like crap. I'm tired. I'm sick. I'm sick and tired.
Depressed?
Yeah. Well, yeah, after reading these books, I almost said that I was the purveyor of positivity, but I thought, for once, I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not going to lie, because I really, tonight, there might be some problems, but we'll have fun, Eric. I don't know if I told you that, but when this happens, we still want to have fun, right? That's our mantra. The books may be bad, but we'll have fun talking about them with each other, and maybe I'll get mad at you and want to kill you, but isn't that part of the fun?
Fun!
I do want to give a shout out. We got a note, a letter from Brian, and that picked my spirits up. I actually let you in on it as well, and yeah, it actually got me all fired up and excited, right? And I'm like, man, I feel so happy. And then we get to these books, and there we go. And
I had a good time.
On YouTube, I have a bunch of videos that I've had, and I really want to have a best of the week, but I just can never find enough books to do that. And I'm even including Marvel and stuff like that. Well, I don't want to make up things and say, hey, here's the best, but this one really sucks, but it's the best of what's coming out, because me and you talked about it on the Patreon Spotlight about the idea that we don't want to.
They're still the best.
I like to think of the best of the week as not being a contest amongst books. It's the ones I enjoyed, my favorite books of the week. But then again, I guess if you read one Bizarro story, it's your favorite Bizarro story of all time. So I guess I can do it, Eric. Thank you. That's why we do the podcast. Now I am fired up. I can go off and do that. Thank you very much. But if you want to get more and more Weird Science, you can go over to our website at WeirdScienceDCComics.com and see written reviews, mainly by Gabe, but I'm sneaking a couple in, at the deadline. Sneaking some in the back door, as they say. Weird. I'm a backdoor man. You can also go to our, you could go to our, what else do we have? A YouTube channel, as I mentioned. It's Weird Science Comics, but also then you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science. You can help us out for everything we do, plus get a lot of shows, bonus shows, all these things. One of the big things that we end up doing every Thursday is our Badass Spotlight episode, where badasses of the Get Fresh crew, they end up picking 2 books each week from the available books that week, and we talk about those on a Spotlight episode that usually goes between 1 and 2 hours. This past week, we ended up going
bunch
further,
of sus comments,
and then we ended up not able to put things out there. I'll probably bring up the same things again, because really, when we were on this, somehow I started screaming about Matthew Rosenberg. May have said that he's kind of like some people that you don't want to be compared to. It was bad. When we get done something and Eric tells me, I don't think you should put that out, I know it's bad, because usually you're
20 minutes of that. Let's get out of that.
If I end up saying like, oh man, maybe I should get rid of that or what, you usually say, no, that we don't do that. You were like, you don't want that. So
save face.
that might end up being, a side podcast, a little B-roll, as that may be, down the line. Just select few. I don't know. It's what it is.
Select few.
It's what it is. I'm sure I'll still get mad by the end of this podcast when we talk about the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing. But this past week's books on the spotlight were The Flash number 796, the finale of the 1 Minute War. Yep. And Batman, the Joker, the Deadly Duo number 6, which me and Eric are, the penultimate. And it's one of those things. A lot of people like that book, and me and Eric were trying to figure out why maybe we're not on board as much as others. But everybody can like that.
I can understand people enjoying it. I just even with the idea where people do enjoy this, and it could be a fun series for a lot of people. Even with that in mind, I still think that this was a down issue overall.
I don't get it. I'm telling you, I'm there reading it, and yeah, it was a down issue. We were actually excited last issue that, right, here we go. And it really was going on that horror.
Look at that Ghoul Bride.
Once you get the Ghoul Bride, Eric is in. You know if you saw Jess. So you end up with all that, and you were so excited.
I'm telling you said that.
I'm just making fun that she's not your bride, Eric. So don't tell her. She'll kill me. And I'll get nervous. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, all of that going on. Yeah, we still had fun talking about it. And that's what you say is what the whole play is. Right?
Sure is.
That's what it is. But
479.
Yeah, there it is, Eric.
We'll get there.
Of that being said and done, here's a little shout out to the badasses of the Get Fresh crew. I wonder who might pop up this week. I wonder.
A lot of people.
Here we go. We're going to start off with my man Trevitt joining in. Trevitt didn't hear me say his name last week because you butted in.
I don't recall it either.
I ended up going back to listen, and you were talking over it, and he was so upset. And I said, no, you can hear Tre. And he was good with that. Then we also have Eric Tay, Jeffrey Greek, Zach Walker, Stephen Bat Dad Mitchell, The Annihilator, Ted Probst, I Love Punchline, Stork, Michael S. Cam, Matt Razor, D-Man 3000, Niels T. Ward, David Fink, Stephen Baum, Jason Colby, Sue42 to you and me, Michael G., Ken Halleck, Comic Boom, Rocky, Wanna Fuck... No, it's Wanna...
What?
Wanna Fuck Me.
Wow, that's a weird name. What's the name?
I think it's Wanna Fuck Me. It still doesn't sound right. I'm going to have to hit this thing again. Mark Jager.
I didn't do anything.
Bill Beer, welcome back to Bill Beer. Thanks for coming back.
Nice.
Ruben, Carlos, Noah Marv, Matthew Rapier, Wanna Fuck Me. Oh my goodness, Luke Hollywood. How dare you make me hit this again? Simon.
You pronounce your U's weird.
Luis. That's Manship, Eric. Manship. Andrew in Belfast. He's there. Swanee. Anthony G. Josh Vermillion. My man Pete from NYC. Batman Beyond Mark, who if you didn't see, he actually did a special tiny little snippet for the Static Beyond that happened in the milestone 30th anniversary. That is on our Patreon. I actually was going to keep it for the next week when we don't have a lot of books, but then I thought not many people read that milestone 30th anniversary in my mind, so we put it on the Patreon, but it's pretty good, and he loved that story. So, Fook Me. B. Muir, Brandy Murray up there in Buffalo. I know that he has the same sentiment as that guy earlier. And Double A-Ron in Minnesota, being doxxed in that Minnesota. And shout out to the all-time greats, Rob Lewis and Reggie.
That's right.
And that is that. And now we got to wait for the song to end, Eric, because you made me play it again because of Juan. I don't want to be hateful against Juan, but I mean, seriously.
Why would you be?
Go and get a better name. Tanya was saying the other day, there was somebody that she was listening to, like a podcast, and I swear to God, the guy's name was like, Dick Sucker or something. She's like, that is an unfortunate name. I'm like, no, the unfortunate thing is he's still going with it. I mean, he should really get rid of that. Go by Richard Suker or something like that. No, he is. He is keeping it. He is being proud. Tanya heard her name. She poked her head out, but we had already moved on, Eric. So that is that. But yeah.
You hear me, Jim?
I do hear you, Jess. But yeah, we have 4 books, so it's not going to be a ton of excitement, this deal. It's going to suck, I think. And me and Eric are really going to be off our game, is what I'm telling everybody. See, Eric, I'm keeping their expectations low. So then when we get to
the podcast before, they know what to expect.
Surprising. Well, there's always new people joining in, and I will tell you that the stats are showing Stats actually lately are really
on your
big.
so
I do want to give a shout out to any new listeners. I would love to say it gets better, but it doesn't. So you kind of got what you got, but it doesn't seem
500.
Doesn't seem like they bailed though, Eric. A lot have joined in.
Yeah,
they keep the coming back. Yeah, if they would have heard that second half of that spotlight, they might have bailed then. Right? I mean,
they might just know this is what's going on.
That is true, Eric. See, I keep whetting their appetite for that nonsense, and
I keep getting disgusted.
It's not really disgusting. It was just kind of shocking. It's one of those things that if I'm arguing with you about something and you won't go on my side of the argument, I just get worse and worse to try to convince you. To the point where I really, really went over the top.
I'm never going to go on that side because you're that bad.
It wasn't me who I said was the thing I said. It was them, Eric. So you have to be with me. You're with me because they're the bad people. They're the bad guys and gals. But we'll see.
I know the bad people when I hear it.
When I reread the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, I do have to admit, I still fucking hated it, Eric. I didn't like it one bit, but I think I'll calm down a little. I don't want to upset you.
I didn't expect you to.
But
Vendetta.
No, that's just honesty. Honesty, Eric, just like Billy Joel sang way back when. And maybe I'll even use that as the song going into the second section of books. But that's not here or there. We'll be going. I did a parody at one point, Eric, but you have the whole play here. It might be about you. I don't know. But we're going to go off. We're going to start this whole shit show with Batman. And it's the Batman, in this alternate dimension deal. But Batman is always the big
world
book.
Without a Batman.
I was sitting in the shower today. Not sitting. I was standing.
I bet you were. You got one of them old man seats.
That would be the worst. Though I think it might be pretty cool.
I was sitting in the shower today.
Pretty cool. And I was coming up with some Night Terror songs, singing to myself. And it was making me giggle. Everything always ends up with me yelling about you, though, so I have to watch myself. You're my muse, Eric. I don't know if you realize that. But
sitting in the shower yelling about me.
Yeah,
it's a weird day.
Singing night moves, and then I had some other things going on. Fun stuff.
I bet you did.
Fun stuff. A little Cinderella was going. All right, but we're going to go off right now. Thanks, everybody, again for joining us for this show. And we're going to go off and start with the books right about now. There isn't any more Jace, Eric. That book got canceled. Oh, my goodness.
He's still out there, though.
Just figured that I have to throw that in, but yeah, here we are. Batman is dead, but he's not, but he's in an alternate deal. I laughed at the end of this in the backup, just to throw it out there right away, is the idea that Tim is like, oh, Superman, I didn't want to do this because you just came back. I'm like, yeah, so did Batman. I mean, seriously, this guy can't stay alive, but here we go. And this is a crazy deal with this Batman book. I see a lot of people talking, right, Eric? They're talking about things.
I'm wrong turn.
Like wrong turn.
Am I supposed to confirm that you've seen people talking?
I was trying to segue into that Batman bitch. I couldn't figure out a way. But either people love this issue or they freaking hate it. I have had people tell me that this is one of the worst issues of Batman they've read.
It's a down issue for something I've enjoyed.
Well, the thing is, when I read it, again, because of all that, I thought, okay, I'm not going to expect too much. Really felt like we missed out on an issue. It felt like things just were like, did we miss a thing? Did we miss a little story here or there?
See, that's
because
the thing
it did feel a little off.
I don't know if we feel like we missed a story. I feel like the story could have evolved into something bigger than they have time for right now, because all of the stuff that is revealed in this issue, it feels like it was so on the nose. Even the idea of Halliday, the Joker of this universe who never became the Joker, being the Red Mask, and like it felt like it was supposed to be a swerve this entire time, and it's not, and it's just more Joker stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I felt like it could have been better as something else.
Even that Halliday stuff, to me, it ended up feeling like it wasn't really that big of a reveal. It's just like, oh, so Halliday, oh, you got me. And then I'm thinking you could have really played the idea of a world without a Batman. Then this Joker decides, well, he's going to be the guy to stop everything. It didn't really evolve into that. It just kind of, okay, here we go. Like you said, like we got to get this out of the way and get going. But it just felt odd.
Like everything that we saw before with the idea that Red Mask was tooling around with multiversal stuff, the idea that a Bruce Wayne of this world died and that's why there's no Batman or just a Bruce Wayne at all in this universe anymore. Just the idea of the multiversal dead Bruce Wayne. I'm like, what if it was the Bruce Wayne of this world who pulled somebody in from, this is what we're talking about last issue, not the idea that he pulled in another Bruce Wayne, faked his death, and the Red Mask is actually Bruce Wayne here, and he's all messed up and doing multiversal stuff. But it comes back to something that I love in this book, the idea of the bad guy. Bruce Wayne immediately in this world said, Yeah, I think that Halliday, he's the Joker and he's the bad guy. And I expected some greater story. But the thing is, I got what I wanted. The bad guy's like, hey, that's the guy. And it turned out to be the guy. Yeah, you got it.
But sometimes you kind of need, some storytelling instead. It just felt like it was, well, we might as well say, I thought that the big reveal. And that's the funny thing. At the beginning, people were like, maybe it's the Jason Todd of this world. Or
maybe it's the Tim Drake.
I thought it would be the Tim Drake. I thought that'd be a cool play of the idea where our Tim Drake is desperately trying to save Batman, where the Tim Drake of this world is actually a villain who's trying to kind of get rid of Batman or keep whatever the deal may be.
We were playing in that because the Red Robin suit kind of was similar to that for the cowl of the whole thing. It's
I think
Red
was
Robin.
Kind of the swerve.
But it just goes back to Red Hood for the Joker before he became the Joker. It's just instead of Red Hood, it's Red Mask.
I think that one of the problems with the Batgod is that by the end, when you do, and if you're going to solve a thing with the Batgod, like you said, you like the Batgod, you love the Batgod, and it's nice to see Batman actually figure out shit nowadays.
You don't get a swerve, though, with a Batgod.
But the Batgod, but also with the Batgod, it tends to be a bit sudden, heavy-handed, and not as clever as you want because it's Batgod. This is that, away we go. And like you said, though, it does feel like, okay, we kind of pushed this along too long. Let's just get going. And it's fine. It's just, everything seemed a little bit down and a little bit not as clever, not as exciting or fun for me. But I'll give you the credits right now, and then we'll jump into it proper, as we say. Batman number 134.
Yes, we do.
So I don't even know what I'm saying. Written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Mike Hawthorne, Tamim Moret, and Clayton Cowles. We also have a backup by Chip Zdarsky and I believe Adriana Di Benedetto on art. We'll talk about that, though, when we get to there. And so with this, though, you do get a lot thrown at you in this issue. Suddenly we see, oh, my God, there's a Flash. Oh, my God, there's a Superman. Oh, my God, I'm in big trouble because all this stuff going on. But it does feel like you don't have any room to breathe.
Ghostmaker, the Ghost Breaker.
That I like. I love the idea that an Elseworlds Ghostmaker is called Ghostbreaker because in my mind, they're all bullshit, Eric. I do like Ghostmaker, but the idea of it, Ghostmaker, Ghostbreaker, whatever. The guy is a piece of shit everywhere, right? Though I would love to see, now that I say that, I'd love to see an Earth 3 Ghostmaker to see how they would play it. Is he a good guy there that acts too bad? Or because he is that jumping back and forth, but you'd have to twist it like a weird way, but it wouldn't really be a twist.
But he murders people. So he's an anti-hero. He is just the same exact person.
Who is a hero. Yeah. It is. It's funny. It's one of those that he might actually break.
It's like an Earth 3 Lobo.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get to the okay, but when we get to this where also we have a punchline, we end up it just felt like, okay, now we're just going to just throw characters in that might fit the story. It might, but really we're having a big fight with Ghostbreaker. And through that, the Batgod, Batman is just sitting there like, I know how he fights. I'll do this. I know how he fights. I'll do that. And it just wasn't as
Well,
exciting.
He's already been driven through with a sword. He's all worn out. So even the idea of a Batgod being this amazing thing that I love in comic books, when you get to the end where you need this world's Ghostmaker, Ghostbreaker to like keep Batman busy while, Halliday, the Joker of this world's plan comes to fruition. The idea that we have this worn out Batman, he is run through with a sword and he's taking on somebody he keeps telling us over and over again is his equal in all ways, but he's able to pull through. I'm like, all right, it's a little much for what you're doing right now because I like a Batman that can sit there and he can contemplate everything. He's playing 3D chess and he knows the outcome by doing this, the other. This is just hand-to-hand combat and sword fighting. This is no like long-term thing. It's like, yeah, I just know his moves. I think I can take him.
Yeah. Now
and he does.
It's a crazy deal because I would have loved to have had a deal where, okay, here comes Ghostmaker Protocol that he has, but he isn't an ultimate. He doesn't have his equipment. He doesn't have things, and he is kind of being shocked as he goes on. But like you said, being the Batgod, he'll just fight him. But it isn't as fun or big, and I think that when you end up having a story like this where everything is a mystery, ooh, why are they doing that? Who's this, Red Mask? Sometimes you have to really watch out when you reveal the big, because the fun of it has been kind of, oh, let's see what's next, what's going on. And once you reveal the Halliday deal, I think it does kind of like, all right, well, we got that out of the way. So what's next? And what we get next is a big fight with Ghostbreaker. And then we end up seeing, like I said, the Flash. Oh, I can't let the Flash out because he's deranged and he'll end up killing him. It's a good idea, Batman. He's spot on there. And then I think that the reason why we have that flash, because then he says, I wonder how many other superheroes there are. Well, that's the setup to have the Superman deal in there. And I do like a lot of this. I think the art's pretty cool. I actually, people were complaining about this makeshift bat suit.
How can you complain about it?
I like the idea that he's kind of cobbled this together and thinks it's cool because it looks ridiculous. It's not very good, but I like that that's what he has to go with. Yeah, it is. You're right there. But yeah, once you end up where I said, I thought felt like you were missing something only because the reveal of Halliday was just so much. It just fizzled kind of. It's like, hey, Halliday, I know it's you. Yup, it is. I actually thought it was going to be no. And he takes it off and it's Tim or, something else.
Yeah, exactly. Some kind of swerve. It's because I just wanted the idea where Batman assumed it was this world's Joker the whole time because Batman always assumes the Joker's behind this. He sees a guy who should be the Joker, but he's not in this world. He's pretty much a Bruce Wayne of this world, but he's Jack Oswald White, but he's called Halliday here. I don't know how the timeline works and the name shifts, but we have a Joker of this world who is essentially Bruce Wayne, but he's also the Red Mask, this playboy billionaire, during the day and at night, he kidnaps people, takes them down to his Arkham sewers, and then experiments on them. Well, what's he experimenting on for? Well, it has to do with the multiverse. I don't exactly know how all of this works. The experiments are about more than that. They're about traveling sideways through the multiverse and backwards so I could see through those eyes at the moment of his inception, the Joker being those eyes. So even the idea is so I experiment on people. I give these other people some great stuff like Venom upgrades. I experiment on these people while also putting the Crane brain out there to keep everybody all messed up in the brain. And I go back to the experiments where somehow has to do with the multiverse and even the idea of multiversal energy. It's just so much of the idea of the multiverse. I can't get my head wrapped around how any of this should work for the idea. It's look, Batman, the thing is, I want to go back in time through the multiverse because, I got dosed with some chemicals. I broke free of the multiverse for a few seconds and I saw what I was in your universe and a lot of other universes. The Joker. He's unparalleled in his creativity. He is unhinged. He is everything that I want to be. Somebody without rules. And I am desperately trying to get back to that and I want to be that. So in order for me to do that, I have to grab all the multiversal energy from my experiments down here and somehow crack the code of the multiverse, but go back in time as well so I can see how that joke was made so then I can do it myself to me. And I'm like, all right. And then somehow when the idea is the Crane brain gets substituted with this gas that sucks up the multiversal energy of people in Gotham, no, I have no idea what you're trying to do anymore because now gas is giving you multiversal energy. It's just too much for me. You might as well just say Speed Force at this point.
Yeah, well, he ends up, and when Batman is trying to find out things, he's going through this Arkham and things, he ends up seeing a Lex Luthor. So he's like, okay, he's expanded. And that's kind of the idea of that's the businessman deal of Halliday. I'm doing that. But even the idea, he says, I was bored. I ended up having all this money, but I felt like I wasn't complete. So then he gets hit. And when he got hit with the gas originally, I thought what we were going to do is, are we going to play the idea that he's got every superhero's origin? Because it certainly looks more like Barry's origin than actual, the Joker, but it's the gas. So it gets that. And then, he says, I had this empty hole. And it got filled because I saw the Joker, right? He needed his hole filled, Eric, and he needed it filled at big time. But yeah, I get the concept. I think that it's kind of a neat, but the thing that I don't love in this is, seriously, we have so many Joker and Batman stories that you didn't have to quite go back to that. So when he sets it up, it seems cool. This guy would have been a normal guy, got hit with multiverse gas, ends up seeing that, man, I could be more. I could be the Joker. I'm going to check out all this. It just kind of doesn't hit for me in the general deal of, I don't need more Joker Batman stories. I kind of wish that it was something else. And I do wish that it was Tim.
No, I'm telling you, I wish the reveal of Red Mask was a lot more than just the Joker. And even the idea, no matter what it is, if it was Tim Drake, if it was Bruce Wayne of this world, if it could have been anybody at all besides the Joker, it still wouldn't work for me with this multiversal gas to get the energy because it's just such a weird concept to do.
It is. It's a very weird concept, but it's the idea, I'm going to keep going and I'm going to check this out. I want to be the Joker, all that stuff going down. But then in the meantime, like we already said, he ends up fighting and also I have to point out too, you end up where Red Mask, he puts up a force field and now I'm like, it's like Darth Maul when they're going to fight and they have to stop.
You mean the coolest fight of all time?
It was a cool deal, but the only thing that served, Eric, the force field went off, as you saw that while the force field was going, Darth Maul, he was like a caged animal. And you have, Batman fighting Ghostmaker. In the meantime, he has to stop this gas, the Crane Brain deal. So there's all this stuff he has to do, but I didn't really feel connected to any of it. I wasn't sitting there going, oh my God, you better stop the Crane Brain. Because we're in a different mode, I don't really care that much about, I hate to say it, about regular Joes and Janes in this whole deal, Eric.
I've heard you talk about people. I understand.
Out of that planet, out of sight, out of mind. But you do end up having a neat thing. I think it was extended a little. Now, in the meantime, he is getting a hold of Jules and also Selina. But even at the beginning with Selina...
Help the people on the streets. You're a good person. You can do this, Selina. I believe in you.
And where one of the best... Okay, Batman! Yeah, one of the biggest compliments and maybe one of the bits of shade I can throw at this is I actually think it would have been a cool deal to see how a Batman actually does make a Selina Kyle of this world a better person for being there and actually just trusting her and relying. But you don't have enough time for it. So what you only get is, remember, this isn't your Selina. This isn't your Selina. And then at the end, he has to rely. I know you could be a good person, and then it's kind of boom, and it happens.
Just remember, this isn't your Selina, so you can't get funky with her, okay? You just got to put that out of your mind. You just got to let her go because not your Selene.
That's the big play. If they do get funky here, is he cheating on Selina? Even if they were together or not together, is he? Because it is Selina. Yes. I'm telling you, I hear guys who are like, if I'm out of a different town, it doesn't count. I'm thinking this doesn't count. Guys. I think it's full in, right? But yeah, the idea, though, a lot of the things I wish you could have expanded more. I wish we could have had more things going on, even when we get to, say, an Alfred and a Leslie Tompkins. Like, a lot of this stuff just kind of was there before. We know it's established, but it just feels like you need more. There's not a lot of connective tissue.
You needed to do more with this Gotham and the idea of Halliday before you storm the castles to break down the walls and take out the big bad, which Batman does immediately for the storyline, which I have been enjoying. But when you're just here, like, all right, I found out where Halliday is, and I'm going to stop everything that's going on. Here's all these crazy concepts, but I'm the Bat God, which, like I said, I love, but it just comes to a head too easily here, especially when you have a Superman of this world who's been, crane-brained up by the Red Mask, and he's going to take on Batman, and all Batman has to do is roll his eyes back like he's the goddamn Undertaker and tell him, I walk as a man, but I am your nightmare. And then Superman gets scared and flies to the Arctic. What is this? Rest in peace. He moves his hands and the sides blow up in fire.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna... You end up where you have him psych him, listen, you're the Batman. And the Batman, he feels no fear. Come on, we can do this. But when he actually says, do the voice, roll the eyes, what is that? Because that makes it then seem like it's something that's really like, this would be such an established deal.
Like, is this a callback to something that I am not remembering at all?
Nobody remembers.
Like it should be something for how it's presented here, but it just feels so out of left field. And I'm like, and all I could think is, you're the Undertaker, and Superman got scared.
Ended up, the Undertaker isn't in this universe, and that's scary as shit. I know.
I was a kid when he came out.
This is something that you would expect. That it was like, the back, but it was prepared. Like, this is something that he knew all along. Like, just imagine that this is something that he thinks would work on a Superman, and we get into our regular
wait to see it in our main universe,
and he tries to do it. Superman just slaps him silly.
Hey, Clark. Hey, what is it, Bruce? I walk as a man, but I'm your worst nightmare.
And you're like, that's awesome. That is so
cool, man.
Cool. The funny play of this is, if this is me and you, and I go, first off, I'd laugh because I'm like, oh man, that's awesome, Undertaker. But I would sit there and go, you know what? Because it does weird me out when people do that, where they roll their eyes back and you just see white. I hate that. I hate it so much. So I wouldn't run to the Arctic, but I might actually be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I actually might be like, okay, you win. You win. You're insane. I'm out of here.
I think this friendship needs to take a break right now.
The problem is, though, it's like, and he says, I know this sort of deal, and this is an unhinged Superman. This is my thing. And when Superman then reacts with, you? And like, what? What is that? What does that mean?
I just imagine he screamed like Homer in The Simpsons and flew away.
Yeah. I wish that he like went back into the hedge. You end up where it's almost something that I thought was and also he's spitting everywhere. Say it, don't spray it, Batman. Seriously. I thought that it was going to be something that you were going to have a weird, now this is hokey as well, but this weird thing that Batman knows that no matter what multiverse, whatever, there's some sort of common bond between them that they can do.
Martha.
Maybe their mother's name. I said, but maybe it's one of those, like if this Batman said, like, he knows what might be the story around him. Maybe he can kind of go with that. Listen, I know that you're the sailor. I don't know, but this thing and him going, this is his biggest nightmare. It's like Martian Manhunter was there and he turns into the Flaming Man or something. It's weird.
I'm just saying, don't have Superman in this story because you have a Bruce Wayne who has no identity here, no money. He has to make a makeshift Batsuit, but he has all the skills that a Batman would have by himself. Don't introduce Superman because you've done too much there. And the way that you achieved like Batman winning, this is not Bat God. This is Bat Stupid.
Yeah, no, this Bat Stupid. It really is.
I'm wrong turn. This is Batman bitch.
And so when you end up doing it, maybe the play could have been that while this is going on, he takes the crane brains and he ends up mixing it up so that it is actually more of a fear toxin deal. And maybe he could spray Superman with it, then do that. Then you start rolling your eyes and then shit's gone wrong.
And maybe that's the case, but it doesn't feel like it's presented that way in the book at all.
No, it doesn't at all. I wish that you had that, though. I wish that there was something with it where he says to us, like, I realize that
suck on this, Clark.
This crane brain is already like just a molecule. It's like the Splenda. They take a molecule out of the sugar, Eric. Well, you put it back into this. Now it's fear toxin. And then you end up seeing it, as you always do see, then through the point of view of the other person. It's this crazy demonic bat that might scare the shit out of Superman, and then he flies up to the Arctic. But he's going to be cold, though, Eric. It doesn't look like he's wearing. People don't like him with the undies. I don't think he's wearing any undies, inside or out there.
Superman
it looks like he's going commando. I don't know, Eric. His super thingy might end up freezing. I don't wear undies too. Am I a Superman? But then you get to fight with Ghostmaker, and all this stuff going on. It's just it's something.
It comes to a head way too fast, especially for anything that you're dealing with here, especially because Ghostmaker is our big deal here. Somebody who was trained like Batman has, and now he's all hopped up on Venom, but Batman can still overcome and win the day. The problem is, he loses his damn hand in the process. So through this whole thing, the Ghostbreaker is able to get one last swing of his sword in before Batman can turn off the device for the Crane Brain multiversal gas, and he loses a hand. So we have a one-armed bandit right now running around in the Batman costume.
It's so funny. In heaven now, the ghost Alfred is laughing his ass off. He's like, take that, bitch. Now you know.
Nobody remembers when Alfred lost a hand.
I remember, Eric, and so does he. He's the sexiest self in heaven, and he's looking at us like, take that, bitch. But yeah, when all that's going on.
They sewed a serial killer's hand onto Alfred after that, and he had problems.
It keeps trying to strangle him. He's like, oh my God. It's the worst version of the Stranger ever. So what do you think then with that? What do you think is going to happen? Is he going to get a hook? Is he going to end up like when we get back?
When we get back, it doesn't goddamn matter because how long did Alfred lose a hand and we're able to reattach a hand onto him?
Yeah, it's true. It's true, Eric. Are we going to just...
It doesn't matter.
What he's going to do is he's going to go to the Deadly Duo book, get the stem cell technology, do that. Next thing, he's a ghoul bride and everybody's happy, Eric. But that is... It's funny, too, because it's weird. When I say the idea of, and I will say it in the Tom Taylor book next, the idea of wow moments and big, like, Batman losing a hand is a wow moment. I'm such a dummy. I'm reading through it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, and then I read through it again, and I'm like, everybody keeps saying about losing this hand. Oh, there it is. But even when you have the wow moment
just looking at this bloody stump and you have no idea. What is that?
It was weird because where you have that spike, when I was reading it on my tablet, it just, to me, it actually looked like Ghostmaker or Breaker threw his thing and it missed and just lodged into the console, which then allowed, I'm like, no, it's there. It's still gripping it, right? So
there's a hand on that lever.
I would get
and
that
nothing
too.
Else.
I'd start slapping Ghostmaker with my hand like that, giving him the finger.
Well, that's the thing, is that's why you're not Batman, because we have bigger fish to fry right now, because even though Batman was able to shut off the Crane Brain multiversal gas that's being pumped out through Gotham, Red Mask has a plan B of sorts where he has an army of man-bats with a bunch of Crane Brain multiversal gas being set up on the jetpacks to flood the city like it's the Joker parade in Batman 89.
Seriously, I'm looking at this. How did I not see it? He's there with a bloody stump. I don't even know what I was thinking. Like, oh man, what did he pick up a card? It looks like a weird thing. I don't know. I guess I was just more looking at the reflection of the Ghostbreaker. It took me the second time. I'm like, oh shit, there it is. But as I was saying too, a big moment here is when, oh my God, the Joker is, but it doesn't really hit very hard. The wow moments aren't very wow-like. They're okay, and I still like this whole story, and I want to see how it gets resolved, all of that.
This is the worst issue by far in my mind.
And this is kind of where no rules are broken or anything, but I'm starting to get how when we were talking about the 1 Minute War, where the penultimate issue and that, we thought, man, they're kind of doing things that, kind of changing. This is not exactly that, but it feels like, oh, I'm not as excited now to see how it ends. It just feels like
everything came to a head way too fast right now.
Yeah, you almost want that reveal of the Joker at the last thing as Batman gets, taken back. Like, it was you, I don't know. It just didn't feel like it hit very hard. I just don't want it to be
Halliday.
And that's Superman. I don't even like when you say Halliday, I think of Roy Halladay, God rest his soul, Eric. He's the sexiest self right now. And I get upset. We're from the Philly area. But you end up all this where I still think it could end up strong. And we've liked it. If people don't think that we like this book
I've really enjoyed it.
We even say when it's next week. We said it last week on the podcast.
Can't wait.
Oh, man, I can't wait. We said it even bigger in the Patreon, like, man, I can't wait to see how that is. I can't. And I started, like I said, seeing people saying it wasn't that, that good. And I see what they mean, but it's not a deal breaker in my mind. It's just, it's a shame that it didn't turn out as smart or clever, but we're going to get to a point where we get the hell out of here and we'll see how he gets that hand back. But then we end up with the backup.
Is that going to be our big concern going forward? Like, all right, we're going to get Batman back to our main, but what are we going to do about that hand?
I mean, I know that there's tons of the handless puns that you can use that always crack me up, Eric, but the idea, it's just weird. Now, I will point out something that I put in my notes there, but I don't have my notes up here, but I'm glad I remembered.
It's weird.
You get Superman in the backup as well, but it is true. I don't know that I want Chip Zdarsky ever to write Superman. Superman is a bitch in his books. This guy gets beaten up by everybody. He gets scared. He got Failsafe treated him like a bitch. Then in this, you roll your eyes and scream and he runs off to the Arctic. I don't think he loves the Superman that much.
Look. The thing is, you have the Superman in the backup, which Superman in the backup is fine because he's mimicking around as Batman to prove that Batman is still in Gotham to keep the criminals scared. Tim Drake came to the rescue with that idea, thankfully. But this is an Elseworld Superman that runs out like a bitch when somebody rolls their eyes back like a little Jim Warner.
Our Superman got beat up by Failsafe pretty bad.
Our Superman got beat up by a Failsafe robot that is 10 times smarter than Batman with the contingencies. He is 10 times the God.
Yeah, and Batman ended up just getting zapped away. I don't know. I think that he has something against Superman, and I don't like it, Eric. I don't like it one bit.
You're jumping to conclusions. Gonna weigh yourself out. Stop.
No, I'm trying to think of the idea because I can't remember everything of Last Ride, but in my mind right now, I'm just making it up. He treated Superman like a bitch in that one too. I'm just gonna make it up.
What was that one?
Remember, it was the Justice League that people liked more than
us. Yes.
It was Elseworlds, but yeah.
I'm telling you, I forgot all about that series, Justice League Last Ride.
That was where he treated Martian Manhunter like a bitch in that one. Right?
Superman wasn't treated like a bitch. Superman was a dick through that entire thing.
Okay, so there you go. I don't think he likes Superman for some reason. I do like that he's going around as Batman. I think that's a pretty cool deal.
Especially
in the back deal.
When he's using his Superman powers in a bat costume to prove that Batman's... And the biggest thing that he can do to keep Gotham is he beats up on a lowly Killer Moth.
Well, the Killer Moth we'll get a little later as well. I mean, the Killer Moth's coming up big this week, but... Yeah, he's beating up on him, and you could just imagine.
Poor Killer Moth.
I would have loved to have the voice, in the mind of Superman of like how much he has to pull back even more because he's supposed to be Batman, and it's kind of cool. But it's a neat little deal. That's a fun play where you do end up and even when he kind of flies away, you think he's gliding away. And then you see, oh shit, it's Superman, which was cool. Because at first I thought it was Dick Grayson.
It's always great when Superman masquerades as Batman. Like, I remember seeing it when I was a kid during the Batman animated series when Bruce Wayne was gone for a while. And then it was such a great episode, too, because you had a bunch of villains teaming up and they thought they'd gotten one up on, like, Batman. I think it was maybe like the Mad Hatter, Riddler, and Bane had gotten together. And Bane thought he crushed Batman to death with his giant statue. And then all of a sudden, Batman picks up this thing and it's Superman like, what? This is impossible. And it's just always a fun moment whenever you have this idea of like the expectations of Batman and even the idea of the Bat God. And you just crank it up to 11 because it's Superman behind the cowl.
And I like that. And what I think now, from now on, if I was Batman, Eric, I might get Superman. It's like you have a certain day. It's like Superman Day. Bring Superman to Batman's work day. Have him go out just so that you can get that idea in everybody's head of, oh my God, I can't even hurt this guy because
he's indestructible.
You do crazy stuff that day with Superman, but
he's a supernatural being.
I'll ask you right now, do you like that Robin suit with the big R on it? A lot of people were talking
Robin
about
suit
it.
That like Tim Drake revised to make sure that the R is more prominent. I think it is badass as a multiversal suit because when we had Tim Drake hopping the multiverse fantastic previously, he just looked like the Atom, like Ryan Choi's the Atom. Now at least he has a freaking decked out Robin suit, gigantic R, so everybody, and that's the whole idea. Even when
a lot of people hate the R.
His suit, so when I go and find Bruce, he'll know he's not alone. There's a beacon shining, hoping, and there's a big old Robin symbol right there. I'm like, I like all that. And the thing is, I like this backup. I like the beginning of the backup with Superman and Tim Drake. And then I even like the idea. Okay, Winslow's shot. He's helping us. We're going to figure out where Bruce is. I'm going right now. It's all fine, even though Tim Drake is a little easy on Winslow's shot for the idea. I just wanted to go to a world where I could play with my toys. We're going to get you the help you need, Winslow.
I don't need that. That's something we keep doing. I don't need that. This guy's awful.
You don't need it because he is awful. He kidnapped people, and his toys were human beings that were being kept in a shed.
Don't sit there and feel bad for him.
Do not placate Winslow's shot here. Just tell him he's a piece of shit and move on. Get him to help you, yeah, but do it through fear and intimidation. I know you want to be a good hero guy and not be as over the top as Batman, but you just saved a lot of people from the worst kind of hell possibly from this toy man world. But once we get past that and get into the multiverse, okay, here we go. And it's a weird situation because we go to the universe that Batman's in currently, and Tim Drake takes a sidestep because the way that our multiversal machine works with our suit is that you gotta be thinking about the person you want to get to. And before Tim Drake could think about the Batmans, he thought about his mommy. Man, my mom's been dead for years and years. So then he goes and finds his mother and has a sit down while Batman's losing a goddamn hand in Gotham to tell his mommy all the good he's doing in the world and how much he misses him. Like, this is a weird, I'm telling you, it's nice as hell. You do this shit after Batman is safe, though, because I like the sentiment that we have with Tim Drake being able to talk to his mother.
This is more for Tim Drake fans.
No, I'm a Tim Drake fan.
It does nothing for me.
I'm saying, though, it's a nice situation, but you don't do it when Batman's in fucking dire straits right now.
Because of that, it almost gets it even tenfold with me. I'm like, come on now. You could have just peeked in and saw her and whatnot and then kept zipping on.
Get Batman safe. Jump on get on your freaking multiversal Robin suit, jump back there and talk to your dead mommy.
But again, this is where we talk about, fan service over story. It really doesn't make sense that he pops in and where Batman is losing a hand. Also, the idea, I really am getting a bit sick and tired of you. And also the idea in these stories that the heroes can never be mean or mad at the villains. Again, if you had Silence of the Lambs right now, Clarice would not only be, hugging Hannibal Lecter, probably going out and finding, livers for him. It's the nonsense.
They kind of were in love.
There are bad people that deserve, again, this is the thing that, we're getting in a bunch of these stories and a bunch of things where you have this nonsense. It happens in Nightwing all the time. Nightwing can't do anything wrong. Even the fact that he's bitching and moaning about prison reform and then destroys the prison. But it's just an odd play here. And I wish that it was one of those, oh, man, I just wanted to have my world. And Tim should have said, listen, asshole, that's fine and dandy, but you can't make people suffer because of that. So fuck you, and you're in trouble.
If Toyman had gone off and actually just had a world full of toys so he could be by himself, and the thing is, I can understand the sentiment exactly. I'm right there with you, Winslow. He went about it the worst way possible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're there playing with your toys, and nobody knows the awful things you did. I won't tell them, Eric, but at least it's not known. But
please
with
Winslow
here, Winslow, you know that at one point we were like, man, what is he doing? This felt like he was almost, getting and picking up the pieces for Professor Pig and doing shit, how bad it was. And so by that, I'm like, I don't need that. I didn't need, he's helping now, but you're making him help because he's a fucking asshole and has been awful. He should, we'll get you help. Help is a jail cell. Help you, whatever, you're done. But it just felt weird. It felt like, as an aside, it almost felt like that was like added in at the last second so that we're like, oh man, they are good here. We know they're heroes. I like the suit though. I like that big.
I think it's cool.
A lot of people hate the R and they're like, what is up with that? And first off, it's a multiversal kind of suit thing anyway, but I think it's cool. I like that big R. blazing there. It's like the signal. The signal comes before the...
It's not like the signal.
I'm just saying it is a signal. So you end up having where he wants him to see. Robin, I think that you ruin a bit of it because I think that when he comes through, you're going to have a dark room. But we already see that even when he's there with his mother. You might have ruined it a bit. But he says bye. I like the idea, too, where he's with his mother and he has to keep thinking, like, it's not my real mother. You're not my real son, but this is nice. And then they go. I'm like, all right,
my
whatever.
son's a good boy in all the worlds.
Yeah, he's like, well, and you know what would have been a great idea? If she said that and we knew that the red mask was Tim and we'd be like, ooh, don't tell her. Don't. I think that would have been a really cool little tie around deal, but it's not the case. So we end up seeing as he goes and you see all these multiversal nonsense Batman at the end. Looks cool. But yeah, that's the end of it. But yeah, I just wish that, I don't know, did it need more time, more issues, or I don't know. I don't know how we end up because we're not done with this yet. So I don't know how the pacing of what they thought. But this issue felt very abrupt for a lot of the things. So what would you give it?
Ultimately, I think the art in both the backup and the main story are great. It's just the story flounders in both the main story and the backup for what we're doing because we're having a victory lap moment for Tim Drake, but he hasn't accomplished anything yet. You save that for the end, like the last thing after we save Bruce Wayne. Jump back in there, talk to your mom and dad, do whatever you need to do because that'd be a nice little wrap-up moment. The Bruce Wayne thing came to a head way too fast, and all this wow surprise moments, it kind of fell flat for me and just felt like it diminished what story you could have done by making it anybody else other than the Joker. The coolest part is Batman losing his hand, but even that feels like it falls flat a little bit just because the idea of a one-handed Batman, how far are you going to take that and what are you going to do with that? It feels like something that's going to be wrapped up as well immediately once we get back. Or maybe he'll have a robotic hand for a while and it could be cool, but I don't know. I'm going to give it a 6.8 out of 10.
I'm going to give it a 6.5. I'm going to give it a 6.5 with it. I'm still into it. This is the funny play, too. Me and you on the Patreon Spotlight, we were talking about the Flash, and we were talking about how we've really enjoyed it. And people seem to like, they do lose their mind. I ended up making a video for that Flash deal, and I gave the score that I gave on the Patreon deal, and people are like, oh, man, you hate the Flash. No, we don't hate it. We don't hate this Batman. I hope that it rebounds, but I didn't love this issue. And I think that your score and mine, very close, but very, very honest, Eric, is what I'm saying. I'm patting us on the back for it. It's just, if the people liked it more, that's fine. It's just weird that people think because you don't like one issue that you've completely bailed on a book and you'll never like it again.
Other issue.
Yeah, we have really enjoyed it. So I was worried when people were saying that it wasn't as good. But a lot of the people are saying it continued not being good, so it wasn't. But we're going to move on to the next book, which is the miniseries that everybody's talking about down at the Rec Center. And also the idea of it being a miniseries still feels kind of odd. John Kent, Superman #2, Eric, written by Tom Taylor, art by Clayton Henry, Jordi Belair, and Wes Abbott. And going into this series, there was a lot of things that were announced. Oh, my God, we're going to get it all, Eric.
Damn right we are.
You want some sort of resolution with John and the Ultraman? You're going to get it. You want the injustice? No, but you'll get it.
All right. You want Val Zod and Red Tornado?
Yeah, we wanted that. It's funny, the injustice stuff, like that was like the icing on that cake at the end. But was it? Because I was like, I've already finished the cake. So I was worried. And I love, yeah, really. I finished it before anybody even knew there was cake. So you end up with this, and it is the adventures of Superman, John Kent. I said John Kent, Superman. Yeah. I'm still in the mode of the last book. But you end up where the big play for me was, we want to see finally, we're going to get some resolution with John and Ultraman. But once you start adding Injustice, Steel, and it just felt too much.
All the Tom Taylor hits.
Yeah, and even if we want to go, even Deceased is mentioned in this.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either.
Now, well, is that a thing where, is there enough room for this? Well, maybe if you kind of get rid of some of the things that we really wanted to see right away, because this book ends up getting rid of Ultraman before you even get anything from Ultraman. Yeah, John and him face off, but he ends up doing the All for One. Boom. Hits them, and then that's it. That's My Hero Academia. That's what it reminds me of. But there's some nice moments. Again, it's a typical Tom Taylor issue. It's not bad, but you always are left wanting more. And it always feels to me like there's just this surface level stuff. Yeah, we find out that Lois knows how to deal with Superman going away. Make him promise he'll come back.
Because Superman never lies. Yeah.
That's okay. That's fun.
And especially when you get, Jay Nakamura, she's talking to him about this. So
I thought Jay was going to forget, didn't you? Because it took him a while.
No, I didn't. I did not think he was going to forget.
Tell him to come back. Make a promise.
But having Jay Nakamura do this to John Kent before he leaves, that was a great little touch in my mind as well.
It was fine. You even end up what we're going to do. And again, everybody is here now because for the Ultraman stuff, I was going to say the first John Kent Superman deal, Tom Taylor says it wasn't canceled, but sales weren't super. They were okay, but it wasn't doing much. Yeah, super. It wasn't it. So when you end up getting this, it did feel like, especially after last issue, which I enjoyed enough. And I still think these first 2 issues are better than what we're getting in that other series.
It definitely upped the ante in the action sense.
And that's where I thought in that was, okay, you have everybody. We're going to reset a little. Okay, we'll get into this. And Tom Taylor can kind of reset things himself and kind of start from a different spot and go forward with more action, more storytelling. And really what I wanted from this is one thing. I wanted to see John get over the fact of what happened to him in the volcano.
Or at least show some kind of emotional response to it.
Well, I wanted him to work through it. And if he's able to punch that out, then that's fine. If he's able to go to Ultraman...
John has shown more emotional response to freaking the super twins that his parents have adopted now than the actual 7 years that he spent trapped in a volcano away from his family, coming back to be an adult man. Like, you have seen nothing to kind of like deal with the mental anguish that would have on somebody. He comes back, he's fine, he's Superman. But these kids are here? I'm jealous of these kids.
Yeah. Even then, though, he was jealous when he was saying, like, I understand that my parents missed out on me, but and so the whole play of that was really good. Now, I'll bring up something I didn't even think of before, but when you get into this issue, when we talked about both Action Comics and Superman, we did say in the last issue of Action Comics in particular, we said that it was really cool because of the synergy. You were starting to see the connection between the Action Comics and the Superman story with Lex and all that. This just feels like it's off on the side. It feels like
and it's fine.
It is fine, but it's still, with that, I want to have all these books.
Those are ongoing. This is 6 issues.
It is, but it's still John in this deal. I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense in the deal, but I wish that you had some more, synergy in what is going on with all this stuff. But
Superman's off planet. It's fine.
Superman's off planet, so's Superman, because, Superman isn't even around here, and then John's gone. So it's just a crazy deal. But in this, you don't get what I wanted coming in. I didn't get
more and more Ultraman?
Man, I wanted to see some sort of thing besides one punch. And this is the thing Tom Taylor has promised. John will never punch anybody. And so I think that he does this like, oh man, he finally did it, but it's one punch and then he's done. And then as he wakes up, you end up having Injustice Superman come and crack his neck. It's done. I don't even know why Ultraman was going and killing all the Supermen. I have no idea. And
pure spite. He had a vendetta. I don't think we're
going to find out. You can sit there and say that it's just because he's Ultraman, but he hasn't been doing this before.
No, I'm telling you, this is a thing that we talked about in the previous issue. The idea Ultraman is going multiversal. He has a device that allows him to weaken Kal-Els, and only Kal-Els, and he's going around and killing them just out of spite. So we need to put together a team of Supermen who are not Kal-Els, so that's why we have John Kent here in this story. And the idea that I'm like, this device that he has, how he's traveling the multiverse, it's never going to be explained, and that was my biggest problem with the last issue. And here I continue to think, now that Ultraman is actually dead, we're not going to get the explanation because we don't care about that ultimately. It was just some way to get a story going that doesn't need any explanation, and it was just passed over, which is very disappointing. Especially for what we had for Ultraman in Earth 3, where the world that Amanda Waller and her Justice Squad should have taken over at this point in time and, taken care of the crime city.
And you say that if we do get back, and it seems like we will eventually, how is this going to play in with Ultraman and things like that? I don't know, but.
Because that is the worst sin of this entire book. Like I'm telling you, you can have Tom Taylor come in and do his greatest hits where you have,
and it is, it's the greatest hits.
Superman. You have the idea of, John Kent and everything like that. And even and his Earth 2 run. And the thing that everybody who's a John Kent fan has been wanting, the confrontation between John Kent and Ultraman, you want all of that going. You have a deceased reference here, which I don't agree with. But ultimately what you do at the end of the story is you kill the evil Superman of Earth 3. I love the crime scene. We just got them back. They haven't done dick except for their 6-issue mini where they took out like a Starro and we got a new John Stewart power ring, but we haven't done anything with these characters, and already Ultraman is dead. I wish even though we have an infinite multiverse now, stop going to worlds and using these characters and murdering them right away, because now nobody can play in that sandbox anymore unless they screw up continuity.
They're just going to end up screwing it up and whatever.
I don't want to live in a world where there's no Ultraman.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that, because I think it'll just be kind of, oh, well, it fixes itself just like we had before. Ooh, yeah, it's nonsense.
But the world fixes itself, but does Ultraman fix himself?
Does he ever fix himself, Eric? But
maybe we have Lazarus Flicker pits on this world.
What this gets here, and what I kind of needed more of, and we did get a little in the Action Comics, when you go to have John have this deal, okay, I'm going after Ultraman, and even when they get to him, and he's like, oh my God, and Ultraman's just talking complete shit. I'm going to torture you again. I'm going to do this. You still never really got, John, he ends up getting upset and punches Ultraman with his blue electric punch, right? But you never really, even in this, get that idea of seeing the actual, like, pain and suffering. This is just him now punching the guy. And it didn't feel like this was like, all right, finally, I can move on myself, knowing that John feels better now. The problem is he never felt, or we never saw him really suffer at all from it anyway.
No.
So it's just a shame, because this just feels like, in my mind, okay, I got that loose end. Let's just get rid of this shit. Okay, he punches him. See, everybody? He was upset, and it wasn't enough for me.
Electric powers came, his fist charged blue. You don't even get to see his entire body until the old thing, but like his costume changes to electric blue, and it's a cool moment. I want to see more of Electric Blue John.
Do you like the song Electric Blue from back in the day?
No.
I don't like that either. I'm not a big fan. I was going to say, maybe I'll do a parody, but no, it's out.
But no, I'm not. But no, he punches out Ultraman here, and then Ultraman's knocked out. But so is John Kent, because the power was just too much for him. And even to the point where Ultraman comes to before John Kent does, because the boy's all tuck it out right now. He needs a nap. And thankfully, by the end of this, because the book moves super fucking fast, you have the idea where Ultraman's like, look, you done fucked up, kid. You had all this power. You couldn't handle it. You thought you could take me out when you didn't. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this personally. I'm going to go to your world. I'm going to kill your Lois Lane as well, all the other Lois Lanes. And that's where we have our big cliffhanger for the idea that we're on the Injustice universe right now on that Earth where Superman is reigning supreme, and he ain't going to hear no assholes talking about killing Lois on his watch.
Because
so he just snaps Ultraman's neck right there. And in the meantime, we do have an idea back on the Fortress of Solitude before we go to the Injustice universe, which this Ultraman has just gone to that universe to kill that killer, which honestly, I just would have loved to actually see in that fight, because Ultraman versus an evil Superman as well. It's kind of a cool thing that we never got to see here. But we have to figure out where he's going to go so Red Tornado Lois Lane can pinpoint his next location. And while we're here, we're going to get the Phantom Zone projector, because we got to trap Ultraman. This is the only way we can defeat him right now. We figure out where he's going. We go over there, and immediately Ultraman comes down, kills Lois Lane to Red Tornado, beats the shit out of Alzad, gets the freaking Phantom Zone projector, sends him to the Phantom Zone, and then John Kent overreacts, uses his heat vision, and melts the Phantom Zone projector so nobody can use it ever again. I'm like, what are we doing here?
I know, and it's one of those where I think that Tom Taylor, he wanted to have that one-on-one deal. He didn't want Valzad or, Red Tornado Lois to get involved, so they'll end up out. But really, in my mind throughout this issue, all I keep thinking of as you go through, once Ultraman shows up, it feels like a play where everybody's waiting for their cue to come on, because when you do have Ultraman then wake up and I'm going to end up killing all your Lois. Oh, that's my cue. And in comes Injustice Superman to snap his neck.
Not on my watch.
Yeah, nobody says that here, snap neck. Now,
I thought I told you to shut up.
Yeah, really. There's a couple things in this that I wonder, where in the timeline of Injustice are we at? But also the idea where all I think this is, and this is something that I've been thinking about Tom Taylor for a while now, because back in the day, Injustice days, and even some of the other things he did, he really was known as the guy who killed characters. He ended up at points joking about it. You don't have that anymore. Now he's the guy, I think he's going in a direction of, okay, I don't like this idea that people think of me killing characters. So I'm going to go the opposite and have my characters not even punch anybody. They're going to be the greatest ever, and I'm going to end up being known as the guy who celebrates characters. But in this, I worry that all this is about is to have people say, all right, Ultraman's dead, and he was a jerk to John. And now we're going to get, oh, man, because how many people go online still and say, I hate Injustice. That evil Superman is bullshit. I hate. that we're going to get a redemption of, oh my God, John, you're my John, or like my John would have been. I've been bad. I'm not bad anymore. I don't need that shit, Eric. This is an Elseworld story that I like. And
out of everything that we saw going into the story, Electric Blue John, Ultraman, and all this stuff, even Earth 2 and Valzad and Red Tornado, I looked forward to all that. The Injustice stuff was not something that I really cared about going into the story, but I will say, even though I hate the idea of like Injustice Superman just killing Ultraman right out because I don't want that character to be gone because we could have done so much more with him. I do look forward to the idea of what this Superman is going to do in his world with a son that he never had in front of him like that.
I just think he's going to say, I was wrong, and then they move on. I don't even know how many issues we're going to stay. We'll have to see.
I think John's going to have to fight Superman because obviously Superman's going to, John Kent's going to say he's doing wrong here, but he's like, I'm doing this for you and your mother and all this other stuff because I think this Superman is too far gone at this point in time to really have anybody tell him what he's doing is wrong because everybody has tried.
The thing is, he did all this because of not having his kid and all that. And even in the Injustice deal, he kept wanting an out. And I think that this is just going to be, and the way it looks, I can't tell if this city is abandoned and this is just Superman, where the Injustice world has gone so shit that he's the only one left and he's just sitting around in a carcass of a world. I don't know, but he does say great Vrow, which made me giggle, Eric, because of what we've been told. But the idea where I think John, it's bad, the idea, I think that John is going to be upset and go with, because Tom Taylor is only going to write John in this greatest of ways of, I know that he was a bad guy, that Ultraman killed a ton of, but you can't kill him. You're supposed to be good like my dad, Superman. I just think that Injustice Superman's going to be like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to now, if the world's still going.
Well, I'll be very disappointed if it's that simple.
It's good to go. I'm sorry. I apologize. Here's this. And the other thing that made me laugh, I don't know if it made you roll your eyes, but there was one point where when they get to the deal and they end up, they need to figure out, and it is a cool thing that is put out there. The only way that they can find Ultraman is after he kills somebody, because they have to get him when he hops out of a world into another. So you're always going to have to get that one last death before you get it. But you end up having Red Tornado Lois go, yup, another Clark Kent has died. And I'm like, no, don't say Clark Kent. That's kind of a weird deal. They're not all Clark Kents. I thought that was a little bit, didn't do anything. It just kind of made me like, listen, sexy Red Tornado Lois, I don't like that you're tough, but
I'm going to rebuild you, make you better, stronger, faster.
Tom Taylor gives you those issues that if you are here to see wow moments and the characters having some fan service. The Lois stuff with Jay is really good. It's fan service, but it's nice and it's really good. But by the end, that can't be the most substance you get from the whole issue. And it kind of was. You end up having things happen just so that John punches out Ultraman. He gets
with electric powers.
Yeah, and electric powers, that knocks him out. And then you have Snap Neck. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like the idea that we're worried that there's not enough room. Now he's going to quit. I don't get it, but
I have a question for you, which I don't even think you're going to be able to answer because I have no idea how it's going to work. I don't know if anybody else has any theories about this.
Aaron, that's the answer.
But we have a Phantom Zone projector from our main universe, okay? We bring it to the Injustice universe and we open it up to the, send Valazad and Red Tornado away so they can't bother us anymore.
Are they in their or is the Phantom Zone? I know what you're going to say.
The idea is every Earth have its own Phantom Zone. And when I say Earth, I mean universe, obviously. Does every universe have its own Phantom Zone, or is it all just one Phantom Zone? And if that's the case, you think that Kryptonians all over the place in the multiverse would be sending all of these people to the Phantom Zone, and all these multiversal Kryptonians would all be around in the same place. So I just don't understand how the Phantom Zone works in this idea.
You say that, and all of a sudden somebody will be like,
it's almost like the antimatter universe.
Or even the realm of the god, like something outside
Sphere of the gods,
the Sphere of the Gods, that somebody will say, well, Eric, the Sphere of the... But you're right, the thing that screws all that up is we never really do see multiversal... The only multiversal characters we probably see in the Phantom would have been the ones that were on our Earth and we send there. So
exactly.
That is an odd deal. I mean, you end up the Phantom, he's going around on a pirate ship, Eric, right now. And so all this, but
multiversal
it is one of those things that I think that you play it out like this, and maybe you haven't thought 5 steps ahead like an Eric Shea.
I always have the same problem with the antimatter universe, and I always want to know, is there more than just the regular antimatter universe?
Maybe what it is when you're in the Phantom Zone, if you're not aware of this, Eric, there's a thin membrane in that you can push through into
that takes us to the dark multiverse.
The dark multiverse, which isn't the dark multiverse. I was going to make a joke about the dark multiverse, but it's a question. I would think that each individual multiversal Earth and universe has its own fandom zone, but I'm sure
and again,
that this
projector itself
like
set to our universe. This is just our universe one.
And there it is. Does the setting send them back then through, which would be a way to get out the multiverse in a backdoor way sometimes.
I just want to know something here, because since we are in the Injustice universe, it's still a Superman hero, Kal-El. He should have all the things that a Kal-El had, like a Phantom Zone projector. Do we get our friends back through his? Does it work that way? Because the one that was tuned to our Phantom Zone from our universe is destroyed now. I don't know. These are the questions I'm asking.
Are the Teen Titans in there with them right now from
this Injustice
deal?
Universe?
Would be so cool. That would be a really cool
That'd
deal.
That'd be a great callback.
And then maybe even heal
Superboy.
Yeah, Superboy it was in that. That would be really... Now, that'd
be a great callback that nobody would get.
I would nobody even knows what we're talking about right now unless you're a real fan of Injustice, which I am. I don't get the hate for it. So seeing this, though, you would almost think that it's for me. The idea of, oh my God, that's awesome. But I didn't think it was that awesome. And I like that to be a separate thing. So when I think about it, I don't think it's for me. I think it's for the haters, for Tom Taylor to say, look, you can't be mad at me anymore because I'm going to rigmarole this out. No, he's a good guy. No, he isn't. He still did his shit.
Still going to wait and see. I don't know how that's going to go.
I mean, people really blame Injustice, which was a tie-in to a video game that nobody, you ended up, I started reading, I'm like,
played the shit out of that game.
It's really good, the comic. And you're like, it's just a bit, because people were in tune of a tie-in to a video game. That's bullshit. It's not going to count anyway. And it's bullshit. But now people go so far the other way of blaming it for every dark Superman story that has ever been. And I don't get it, because I think that it was well done. And if
the people that were yelling about that, it's like, hey, they'd never heard of Earth 3 in their life.
I know. Well, again, it's like people hear things and just pass it on. And, this dark. So the thing is, if you do read Injustice, and I suggest everybody give it a try if you haven't, at least the year one, you see that there is a bunch of times where Superman almost doesn't go that next phase.
Goddamn Wonder Woman.
And Wonder Woman. Now, if you get upset about her...
She's the villain.
Oh, if you would listen... I know you don't listen, but I've gone through on our Patreon. I have the full year one. I'm done with that. Yeah. On our reading club, I'm going to be starting year 2 tomorrow, actually, just to say. But in that year one, you can't imagine how much I'm screaming about Wonder Woman. Like, you bitch, shut your mouth. Like, it's always like, Cal, like, all right, I think that... No, he's doing that because he... Oh, no, she's done it again. She finagles shit. Oh, she's the
real
worst.
Villain of Injustice.
Oh,
Nobody talks about it.
She is the definite real villain. Oh my God. But again, then Superman he does start to lose his mind a bit, and he goes further and further, and then he can't pull it back, which is a shame. And
you've gone too far. You can't go back.
Not to make this an Injustice podcast, but
might as well.
Even while that's going on in that story, Batman, he can't get out of his own way either. He could just kind of, settle down a teeny bit and try to get
it out. Nope.
And try to get Wonder Woman the hell away is what you really. But she's like the Yoko Ono of the whole universe.
Totally.
Always messing up. They're there. She's in the studio with them, doing her nonsense, cackling. It's the worst. But no, I sit there, and there are issues where you get a lot of emotions from it. I'm getting all excited about because you're like, all right, Superman, Batman, what are you doing? And then you get to the next one, you see all that.
Just a universe where people go about things the wrong way.
So when you get into this and when we go forward with this, I don't know that anything from the Injustice universe in this will be something that I'll enjoy, because I like that as a separate thing. And like I said, I want to know when this takes place in the whole timeline and stuff. And so even with that,
even the idea with the mention of deceased,
I was going to say deceased.
John Kent's asking about the idea. Well, aren't there more of me? Yeah, but you got aged up because of being out of time, and that's even weird how that plays out. But there is one other, but he's full of the undead and stuff like that. And it feels weird saying that because the deceased timeline feels like that didn't go ahead of time. Like it's like that's not ahead in the timeline of everybody else. It feels that we just personally jumped ahead to the future of that to get to an adult John instead of it actually going organically.
It's funny the way that I've complained about the multiverse and Earth 3 in particular, because when you do go to these multiversal Earths, you always go back to like that one time. you go back. There's never a time where you go and it's like, oh shit, everybody's dead now. Like they had this. It's always like,
well, except for Earth 15.
Yeah, but it's
they
usually
never recovered Superboy
no.
Prime.
But when you first start, it's usually the Earths all have their sexiest selves, Eric. They're always there. Like you'll always go and
it fixed itself.
You end up like you'll never go before. Like you'll never get to the Injustice world before shit goes wrong. But it's just weird. The whole play of how they do this.
Well, you do, Jim. Every time you open up a trade to go back to like Red Rain Batman, we'll see how he became a vampire all over again.
Again, there's the sexiest self because it's not as fun if he's like down the road, old man, Red Rain Batman. It's like just sitting there.
Well, he's a vampire. He's not an old man.
Oh, that is true, Eric. That is very true.
I think Batman died at the end of the story, but I can't recall now how that ended.
But that's the other play here. If you have like an Elseworld story and shit goes wrong at the end, you'll never end up going to the Earth at that point. It's just a generic.
Especially because the multiverse keeps getting remade.
It does. It fixes itself, but they laugh at the whole thing, and we have fun. And it's funny, Mr. Continuity here loves you love the multiverse, but I guess that's the way to keep nonsense stories away from the continuity, but have fun with it. That's why I like it as well. But yeah, you actually are a continuity guy who loves the multiverse. I bet you that's a rare breed.
Well, it's a problem just because I really love the crime syndicate, the idea of an evil Justice League and all the counterpoints to everything from our world that we know. Everything that's bad is good and everything that's good is bad. It's a great concept for me. And one of the biggest bads of that world, Ultraman, I love it because he's the leader, no matter what Owlman will say, of the crime syndicate. And now he's just dead on a mission that barely felt like it was coherent to begin with. I'm going to go multiverse, kill some Kal-Els with this device I have that helps me weaken the Kal-Els. And it's just kind of feel thrown away. That being said, though, I do think the art in this issue is great. I love all the concepts that we're dealing with. Still, the biggest thing for me is killing off Ultraman so carelessly for what that means to the rest of the DC multiverse, because it just feels like a waste and a shame. But the stuff that we're doing, a lot of nice moments, a lot of wow moments for Tom Taylor fans, and I'm here for it. I just want it to be bigger and better ultimately, but I'm giving it a 7 out of 10.
I think I'll go 7 as well. I think Clayton Henry, a lot of times he does those giraffe necks, but it's not as noticeable in this as much, though. Lois, her neck is, stretchy, but yeah, by the end, I'm looking forward to see what happens next.
Your neck's stretchy.
I'm kind of cautiously optimistic, I guess. I'm worried that we're going to get too caught up in the idea of making Injustice Superman a good guy. That's not why I'm here. I don't even know why I'm here now. I don't
have any expectations for how it's going to go. If it does ultimately just immediately go to like, why aren't you a better guy, Dad? You're right, John. I should be a better guy. I'm going to be.
I just wonder. I mean, the only thing that I can see coming forward with
the drama there,
what would be something with the Injustice Superman, obviously, and then trying to save, Red Tornado and Val Zod, because the main impetus of this book was to stop Ultraman.
We already beat the plot.
That's what I'm saying. We're at issue 2.
Roll credits.
Yeah. What are we doing now? It's almost like, what? This wasn't a 2-shot? Oh, shit. I messed up. I done messed up. It's almost like we said about Batman, about finding out Joker was the red. Like, that at least took some time when we did it. This is like, oh, shit. Like, I thought this was what we were here for.
Like, I know Tom Taylor issues are fast, but damn.
Yeah, really. So, yeah, and again, like you said, Tom Taylor issues are fast. A lot of times recently, I've been upset about progression and whatnot, but there is always something to like in them. Even if you hate everything, there's always something to like because he does have those moments, and he has so many that'll throw scattershot in. Something will hit, and I did like that bit with Lois and Jay Nakamura. I thought that was really nice. And yeah, John punching Ultraman, I don't know, though. It didn't. There was no satisfaction from it. I thought
because John totally, fell asleep immediately, and Ultraman woke up first and I'm gonna kill all the Lois. It's just, you want to have that electric blue powers. You want to know what it means ever since the Lazarus Reign, and what it means, calling back to when Superman himself was, electric blue and then electric red, and how that works out. Why John has these powers, and is it just tied to his goddamn cape, like it seemed like that Lazarus Reign? And it's a weird situation, and I want to see it explored. I just don't know how we're going to do it. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm still optimistic.
I would have remember when we were talking, we always talk about John and the volcano and the idea that Ultraman, he would come down and bitch and moan. He'd get things off his chest.
And
cry. And I really thought that this was going to be one of those where we thought that when John's going to be pissed, but when he shows up, that you actually see that Ultraman missed his little Johnny boy who he had there for so much time. And it would have been a weird play. John's so mad. But there's Ultraman like, oh my God, I thought of you as a son.
My boy, you come home.
Like I said, again, he can't get out of his own way. He's a bad guy. But in his mind, he's like, what? I wanted to see almost like John saying, like, you were the worst. You took all this time away from me. You did this. Like, what? I thought you enjoyed it. Like, he would actually, in his insane mind like that. That would have been a little more depth. It would have been kind of funny.
I couldn't let Superwoman find out, she'd kill you, so I had to keep you safe and hidden. So quiet and so still.
How crazy would it have been if we actually saw the idea where, oh, no, I had to do that to save your life so you could get back, even if he was lying or whatever. But there's a lot of things.
Deeper ideas to everything that we deal with could be really cool, but we never go deep. We only stay surface level for the majority of stuff we do in comics anymore.
And it's, you don't get that deep. That's the problem. And again, people might have been upset, but there is the idea that a villain a lot of times thinks that he's in the right, like a Lex Luthor.
Just
and
like Winslow
like
shot. He just wanted to play with his toys. Those were people, Winslow. Shut the fuck up.
Hand to him their toys, right, Eric? You play around with people as well, manipulating them with your asshole ways. But you end up
I'm just sitting here staring at my Ultraman action figures telling him, it's going to be okay, buddy. You'll be back.
It is funny because somebody like you at the end of this, you actually feel bad about Ultraman dying. I don't think that's the
worst.
I don't think that's what, but it does end up where
he's such a good bad guy.
Grant Morrison just got pissed off about all this multiverse things and stuff like that. The idea that
the Batwoman being killed off.
Man, it's a playground. Don't just go in and kill people just for shock value.
That's all anybody does.
Yeah. I don't know that he cares about
every toy in the multiversal playground is cannon fodder to get a shock out of somebody because you can't do anything with your regular main character universe.
You're trying to get the shock of a Superman dying, but he's the awful Ultraman. So, is the Jeff Johns Forever Evil deal Crime Syndicate? Is that your favorite? Is that your favorite lineup?
It's one of my favorite. It's really good.
I like that lineup a lot.
It's one of the best redesigns and just the concept thought, like the thought behind how all the characters are and how they work, and even throwing in the idea that the having an affair with the Lex Luthor of that world, who's also the Shazam of that world, the Mazaz, like all that stuff is really cool, and we kind of screwed that up too, because I say we screwed that up. We screwed it up on later on for the Dark Side War, but we kept those characters intact for the most part by putting them in jail, and it felt fine for the time. Then everything just got kind of screwed up after that.
What happened with Grid, Eric? What's up with Grid?
Grid got sucked into the Mobius chair.
I know, and we keep wanting him to pop up somewhere with the Mobius chair.
I'm telling you, I'm waiting for his program to overthrow the Mobius chair somehow and cause a real problem in the multiverse.
Maybe that explains that nonsense that Wally wasn't. I was going to say, because the only thing that I can think is Wally on the Mobius chair, the last bit of the deal in that flash
I'm
forward.
just thinking about how the reason is, Grid was in the programming of the Mobius chair, and when Batman said, who's the Joker?
He was fucking with him.
That was just Grid fucking with him. Three Jokers doesn't matter.
He's pranking him. He's punking him. He's laughing. They have it videotaped. There's a multiversal punked Ashton Kutcher of Earth 73, or maybe Earth 69.
It's your boy Grid.
He was just punking him. Now it sounds like you're trying to do its ridiculousness. All of a sudden, hey, what do you think about that? You have multiversal assholes going, man, I think she's going to fall off that boat. That's what happens from ridiculousness. That show is on any time you ever tune in to MTV. That's
why I got rid of cable.
24/7. I end up now.
That's the only reason I ever got rid of cable, because ridiculousness is always on.
It's always on. And my son, Alex, my oldest son, loves it. He loves Rob and all of them. And anytime you go over his house, he's watching it. I'm like, why are you watching? He's like, it's funny. I'm like, I did not raise you right. But with that, somewhere they're having a video of Grid punking Batman. That sent Batman on such a bad path, too. The idea that it might have been Grid fucking with him. That'd be hilarious. That would have been, and that would explain the idea.
There's just so many loose ends to tie up. You could have so many fun stories. Just think of it, though.
Now you're getting me all excited about that, because the idea where it should, you get Batgod there. It didn't blow Batman's mind. Maybe it's because Grid was kind of keeping that from him and fucking with him. That's what I say.
Grid, take the wheel.
But yeah, I'm a 7 out of 10 as well. I do like the art. And even at the end, when you end up having a crying Injustice Superman, it looks great. I thought it looked really good. Those ears kind of look like mine sticking out like that. No wonder you can hear things. Holy shit, look at you, Dumbo. That's what I'd say to Superman, Eric. Right?
You're a dick.
He'd kill me. This is Injustice Superman. Well, actually, he wouldn't. He'd be like, man, that's kind of mean. But and then Wonder Woman's whispering in his ear. He snaps my neck. I'm done. He punches right through me. It's all Wonder Woman. Yeah, probably. Earth 3.
It's all you.
Earth 3, Jimmy, he likes everything. He doesn't even get upset or anything. He's like
hobbies.
It's the worst when you sit there and say the best you is the Earth 3 you, but I think that might be the case. Yeah, he might have hobbies. He doesn't get hyper-focused on one thing and one thing only. He has varied interests, that Earth 3 Jimmy. But who cares about that guy? That guy's an asshole. But we're ending.
He's dead to me.
Yeah, really. So is Earth 0, Jimmy. We end up, that's the first section of books. We're going to go off. And boy, do we have a fun second section. I hope that Eric can end up convincing me not to lose my mind even more and my voice.
It hasn't worked so far.
Deal. Well, it hasn't, but me and you talking about the Injustice stuff, I will tell you, it got me fired up. So I think my score went up.
Good story.
It went up a half a point, not even because of what we read. It's just because I was in a better mood. I'm like, oh my God, we should do this every time. But we'll go off now for a second and we'll be back with the remaining books of the night. And here we are for the last two books of the night. What would you call this section, Eric? I'd call it the shitty section myself, but what would you go with?
Batman adjacent?
The Wolfman.
It is Batman adjacent a bit, but I don't know. Maybe I'll call it the Wolfman. Maybe I'll call it something else by the end. I'm not sure, but we'll jump right into it, Eric. No reason to make this go any longer than it needs to, but I don't know what you think of these books. I'm really interested
What's happening
to
right
see
now?
What you think, Eric. I'm trying to talk really loud. Tanya's walking downstairs right now, and she's going to move the door at the bottom of the stairs, and I was afraid it'd make a noise. But hey, whatever, Eric.
It's a weird podcast.
Well, she ends up coming out, and we're about to hit the song, and I thought that she would go like quick enough to get out before the song was done. That did not happen. She didn't even start. But here we go, Eric. Oh, my goodness. Where's Jess? Should I edit that out? Eric.
How dare you?
What are we starting with?
Poison Ivy, number 11, written by G. Willow Wilson, with art by Marcia Takaro, Arif Prianto, and Hassan Atsmain Elhal. And in this, we continue the idea of the bored, rich white women retreat of a spa day with Poison Ivy and Janet from HR, and the idea of the Lamia taking over from all of the the green grass, shakes that everybody was drinking, and the Lamia, spores
it has
taking
those
over
mushrooms, and that turns
the Lamia
into the
spores,
Lamia deal because they didn't take enough effort to look at the mushrooms that they picked.
See, it gets into a weird situation here because it does one thing that I wanted it to do, because at the end of the initial arc of Poison Ivy with the Lamia spores taking over...
I knew that you would like the idea that at least you get some explanation and some Lamia spores.
It seems, though, when Poison Ivy got most of her power back for what she had previously that she believed to be lost once, Queen Ivy and Naive Ivy were combined together, the reason that this whole series exists in the first place, that when she got her powers back was all through the Lamia spores. And then you and I talked about the idea of the Scott Snyder introduced concept of the gray, the fungi, and stuff like that from his Swamp Thing run. I'm like, is she less of the green now and more of the gray, an avatar for that to a degree? Because with this, it seems that she does have control over the Lamia spores as it tries to evolve and survive like anything that's living tries to do. And the idea of taking that over and even seeing the Lamia powered Poison Ivy with that new kind of I want to say costume, but it's more of all the fungus growing around her. This was a cool concept to me that this kind of gets watered down in the bits of
watered down. Right. I don't even think she's trying to do what you think she's doing. I think she's just throwing shit at the page.
No. I could see some stuff here that I want to happen. I'm not saying that it's definitely happening.
I'm saying I know and I see it too. And when we started seeing some stuff like that, I thought, okay, this might make sense in the idea of tying it back to the stuff with Woodrow and the things that you started because it had a purpose at the beginning, whether or not I loved it. I say it every time we talk about this. At the beginning, I thought it was a little over the top, but it's, be careful what you wish for. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I'm praying that we could get back to something that has a focus, and that focus that would have led us to maybe a definitive version of Ivy that could even be part of the gray, kind of going with that. That would have been awesome. That would have been really
cool. Change the status quo, at least for a bit, because nobody wants to keep things changed.
Yeah. And make her a little different so that, you can throw her in with stuff with a Swamp Thing as either a villain or a compadre or so. But when you get this book has been scattered all the time. We said it already. Once it was extended, it seemed to change. Then when it became an ongoing, it changed again. Now with this issue going back, I thought that it was a kind of the devil's hand here, Eric, because you go back to Lamia spore stuff, which, okay,
we never really left that, though.
But I know, and I even said that to you before, the idea, we never really got rid of it. But when you get to this issue, this is a roller coaster ride of bullshit. You end up going from highs and lows of, oh my God, I'm so crazed up and I love this whole deal with this Lamia. Oh no, I'm going to sue you. Oh, I tried to do it right. I am a bitch.
The issue completely falls apart by the end because of this whole idea of the people behind the pyramid scheme or the spa, whatever you want to call it. The woman who wants to sell rich, bored, white women all the spa treatment stuff that they can go and tell all their friends about, and with extended prices. They went about things the wrong way. She paid people to pick mushrooms for these shakes that she sold to people, but they did it a little, like, I was going to say underhandedly, but just a little rush because you needed the meat to order. And this she's all upset. She's like, oh my God, Ivy, you did this. I'm going to sue you. But you're really to blame because you had this person do this, and then we did this, and things got out of hand with these poisonous Lamia spores. And ultimately, forgive me, Ivy, I went around things the wrong way. I should really think before I act in the future. That all falls apart and is bullshit. But when we start the issue out, like, I'm not happy with the setup to begin with, the spa day with Janet from HR and Poison Ivy, and all these women having an orgy because they're all hopped up on mushrooms.
Yeah, they're all having orgies. And the big play last issue was, what am I going to tell my kids? Oh my God, this might be on the internet. And then we get to this.
But now it's round 2 of the Lamias hitting your liver for the second time and making you feel really good about it. But the cool aspect of that, outside of the terrible setup that I dislike, is that all the power that Poison Ivy has tied in with the Lamia, it seems that she's able to take control of these women. She has pretty much puppets at her disposal as long as they're infected with the Lamia spores. And she realizes, well, shit, I'm going back to my eco-terrorist ways. Women, now that you're all infected with spores,
now,
we're going to go and stop an oil truck.
First. What happened to the idea that this Lamia just decimates you and kills you and you're done?
Well, that was a weird thing because Woodrow even said that wasn't the case. It was just something that they got sick. But a few people will get decimated and stuff like that. Even the idea that she says, this was originally made to be surveillance. And I'm like, no, it was originally made to do mind control is what it was.
Everything gets lost in the shuffle in this deal. But like you said, you go from there because, now we're going to have an army of ladies taking it to the streets.
While we immediately take it to the streets just to stop an oil truck, which is going to cost the oil companies fucking millions of dollars in the long run somehow, all the stuff that you want to do, like, it's very heavy-handed. But when we get past that, where these truck drivers are going to just run these women down because fuck them and their goddamn protest in the middle of the night, the Poison Ivy is able to transport them to the Lamia membrane, the fungus membrane, and it's a new kind of power set that she has, and because these women are infected, she's able to do it. This is upping the ante for Pamela Isley. It's allowing her to do new and interesting things that she doesn't fully understand yet. It's almost like the spore drive we had in Star Trek Discovery. It seems like how we're traveling and all these different concepts. I like this stuff.
I don't. I think it's bullshit. It's nothing. Apart. Well, it falls apart. Nothing's really explained, and all you get. I mean, the idea that in this, as we get to this, you have the spa owner where she's, you can't have it's what we said earlier. You can't really have a villain. So it's the spa owner that, oh my God, her real crime was not looking into more of, a
how these things
control,
were processed,
a quality control of mushrooms. But in the end, it's like, oh, don't worry about it. We're good. Let's go. And now we end up having, and I just sit there, and when I'm reading a book, I like in comics where I sit there and I say, oh man, like an Ultraman. That guy's bad to the bone, Eric. I need him to go down. You end up having to force an issue because you have what looks like a couple, a guy and a gal. They're just truckers. They're just doing their job. They're trying to make a buck. And all of a sudden, they're the real villain in this book.
We're going to run these bitches down.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then she's like, they won't do that. I know they won't end up running.
Holy shit,
now,
they did it.
The big play is, really, the big thing in this book is playing chicken with a truck. And so to make these, and again, you have to have this couple. If it was just this old guy and a lady who, hey, this is our retirement, but we're going to use this to make some money. You can't have that. So you have to even push the idea. Look at these, like they're even being the art of like, look at these assholes even. And the idea, oh, they're even, you climate freaks. Like, no, they're just doing their job. And you end up all that is just so over the top push to me to get to that point of, oh shit, they're going to run us over. And then she ends up having this power out of nowhere. That's fine, but what the fuck is going on in this book? We've had this. This isn't just the first issue. The idea, we had it from the beginning, even of the part you liked of the idea, hey, that guy's picking a guave. I'm going to kill him. And then even with Janet from HR, then Janet at HR is like, you should be good because when you came and you found me, you got the Lamia spores out of me in that book. That really wasn't that beforehand, but we'll end up making it that now. It's just nonsense. I mean,
look, Pam, can't we put all this behind us and just keep going down on each other? Because I was really having a good time in the last issue.
Here's the thing. It's almost the idea where I thought G. Willow Wilson had something going on. Again, I keep saying I didn't love it, but you liked it more. But the idea that she was going to destroy the world, that made her interesting because it was something new and it was something maybe she was controlled. Yeah. Maybe she wanted to do this. This is the end game for her. But since then, it's become just this nonsense of let's go to the spa where they suddenly have mushrooms with Lamia, and now we're going to have an orgy. Now we're going to stop this truck.
We were going on a killing spree, essentially, cross-country to kill as much people as possible. All that fell through when Woodshrew said, oh, no, none of that worked, and it was all my plan. So it took all the agency away from Pamela, and nothing that she did really mattered. Now when the series was continued on after she killed Woodshrew, it's just, all right, I'm going to drive a little further. Oh, my God, more Lamia stuff. This is crazy. And like the idea that I'm going to stop this eco problem that we have in different towns, but it's all tied back to the Lamia for some reason. It never made any sense. It was just continuing a story that didn't need to be continued on that front. And all I need out of this at this point in time is for it to change up Pamela Isley, make this original part of the story, make it worthwhile by doing something to Pamela at the end. And it seems like we're getting there. It's just every time that we actually have some situation in the book that we need to do to have filler or just a plot or something, it's just over the top.
The thing that gets me, though, is I think that it takes a step back as you go. It's MC Scat Cat, because she sits there and she's like, you even get the idea at first. You're like, oh, shit, here we go again. In the hills, not far away, is a small oil refinery. It's isolated, remote. Difficult for it to call in reinforcements. So we're going to take it to the streets. But then when we get to it, and I don't know what is going on here, but is it supposed to be you set up these people and like, man, I'm starving. I could go with pizza and chicken wings. Is there something G. Willow thinks that's bad? I don't understand the idea of setting up these bad people.
All I wanted was pizza and chicken wings.
Yeah, pizza and chicken wings. I don't get it, but you end up where they're going to stop it. And then Pam, this is what gets me though. Now she is this eco fighter, but she's not going to go and just kill everybody because they deserve to die. What she's really going to do is make them a little inconvenience. She's going to end up, instead of blowing up a building, she's going to go in and pull the fire alarm so that everybody wastes an afternoon. And that doesn't feel like...
Chip away at the stone, piece by piece.
It feels silly where she's like, eventually...
But especially because we just walked down a hill from the spa where we're at, yep, here's a freaking oil refinery. We're going to stand in the way of a truck. That's all we're doing here.
And that's what we went from.
And while you do want to experiment with the idea that Pamela Isley can control women or just people who are infected by the Lamia spores, this is a silly setup. Like I said, every time we have something with the plot or a setup that we want to do to further what we're having here, it's just always over the top. Like even the idea of Cheryl, who's in charge of the spa, and she's going to sue this because of all she wanted to do this.
Cheryl.
She's not. She's on Lamia.
Well, I'll just say it's the new math.
It just falls apart because now it's like, I'm going to sue you. And then Pamela gets all spored up. She gets scary. She fucks with the mind because she's infected with Lamia to the point where, I'm sorry, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm never going to act like this ever again. It's just this over-the-top kind of way that we have our regular people acting. Like, the thing is, I don't mind Pamela Isley in this. It's just her in a really fucked up situation that doesn't make sense around her. But what she's doing right now, it's new and different to her, and she's at least experimenting with it.
What is she, a college? You end up where this is going on, and like you said, the thing with Cheryl, and I just want to remind you, she's still on meth. She might be on the sport, but again, like you said, you go from Janet from HR, she's making out with Ivy. Then she says, I have to, think that you're good because you didn't kill me. You got the spores out back in Gotham. Then you end up having Cheryl come in like, you did this, you asshole. It was you. Oh, my God, it was me. No, it was you.
This is fraud, entrapment. I'm going to sue or something.
It almost plays out like the Green Goblin in the Spider-Man movies of the whole deal of like, it's you. Oh, no, it was me. Oh, no, it was you. I'm going to sue you. This is entrapment. And then Poison Ivy goes all... whatever you'll call it, all spored up, right? She's a real fucking spore. She ends up where she goes.
Make weird decisions.
And this is her big, giant, transformed talk. Who did you send out there to go rooting through the dirt for your overpriced mushrooms? Were they trained? Were they a rush to fill orders? I'm like, this doesn't fit the
such a rush that something poisonous slipped past them. I should make you drink every last drop of that slime you were serving. A little Lamia and you see Keller's a little more, and you'll beg me for death. Ooh, I'm so sorry. Please wait.
Like, she's like, what's next? Oh, I heard that this one brand of dog food had a recall. Let's go get those assholes. It doesn't feel like a big comic booky thing to me for her to just yell. You didn't look at things.
Pamela,
bad quality
I thought
control.
A company that helps people take care of themselves. We spend so much time on our jobs, our families, and our bodies. The bodies start to break down. I wanted to give people something wholesome. I wanted to nourish them, but it just got bigger and bigger, and I started cutting corners. Before I know it, I was exactly the kind of person I claimed to hate, and now all that bad karma is coming back to get me. The real villain of the story. Karma.
And you know,
because
as we
even
know,
with the idea,
a bitch.
Karma's a bitch, yes. And the thing is, this is all silly, like the oil truck.
You're
all
still
silly,
on
but it's a way to further our story. And I'm telling you, these little...
You can further a story. It's a bullshit story.
The thing is, the story is not bullshit. The interludes that we're using to further the story, because even the idea that we're talking about in this, where the Lamia itself wants to evolve, it wants to survive like anything that is living. We see that happening now where the Lamia, like infested Cheryl, is now almost like the freaking, what do they call it in The Last of Us? I can't think what the hell they're called, but anyway, the infection comes out and it actually starts killing Cheryl right in front of everybody. Ivy's trying to use all her newfound powers to stop it, but she can't. And then her body just rips apart to this new species that was created alien style. And I'm like, all right, this is gross and disgusting and something new. I can get behind this at least. And what does this mean for Poison Ivy with her powers? Can she control this monster inside of this, what used to be Cheryl?
In the roundabout deal, I actually thought, I might be mistaken, but I think they go back to Gotham next issue. That's what it seemed like the solicits were pointing out, that they're just going back to, Harley next issue. It might be 2 issues. But the thing where I'm saying that the story's been booked, we have gone from, okay, Janet from HR showed up because of a bullshit story. You ended up every place we've gone, including Amazon, which was in there, and all this, and it's
the
all
company,
bullshit.
Not the place.
It's all, the company. It's all just bullshit. It's all her just showing up and saying, all right, I'm going to take down these without any setup, without any real story behind it. Just the idea, even with...
It's a scavenger hunt of nonsense.
And these truckers, it's just, you end up where I think that, there's this, overarching story behind everything, but that's not what G. Willow Wilson wants to concentrate on anyway. That just almost feels like they're making her do that. In the meantime, she wants to take down spas and truckers who have oil, and it ends up where any sort of progress in my mind of saying, okay, this will be cool. Like at the end, it's horrific, but it's so goofy before that with the shit with, just Cheryl with her back and forth and all this. It's just bad. And the art is good, but it almost gets too much. It's too much all over the place because of the story to me that I can't even say that I would buy this just for the art anyway. I'm more of a story
guy. Do it for anybody.
Well, I'm more of a story guy, but I'm not, at the end, I don't sit there and go, man, that art was great, because some of it is just, I don't know if it's because you can get wacky with it, and then you're like, oh my God, it's cool, but it's nonsense. And like I said, the big moment of her transforming and she's yelling about quality control at a spa, that's just, it's hooey. And then by the end, and I see there and I'm like, but yet it keeps selling. It's an ongoing now, and I just, every month, I wait to see those sales and see what I think it should be selling, like a drop of 100 rankings down to the deal, because I read a lot better books than this that are like a Jeremy Adams Flash. He's off the Flash because the sales weren't there. How does this sell? How is this selling? It is a bullshit story that's always all over the place. You never know. That's the one thing. You never know where you're going to go, I guess.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it just ends up where it just doesn't feel focused enough. Maybe we're getting back to that, but I think that you go back to Gotham and Harley and you lose that focus anyway. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll see. But again, I have read some of the solicits for when they go back, and it just seems, hey, wackiness with Harley. And I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But what would you give this?
I think the art in this issue is great. I enjoyed a lot of this. And the idea of the evolution of the Poison Ivy's powers, as well as the Lamia itself, to be a counterpoint to, like, can she control this? Is it going to be her greatest enemy because of how she's infected as well? I don't know. I look forward to a lot of story, and I think it's handled well here. It's just, like I said before, all the setup to get to these places that I like, it's riddled with nonsense. Like the idea of, like I said, the oil rig and then Cheryl herself. A lot of nonsense in that, but the overall story, I look forward to reading more because I want to see how this is going to change the character of Pamela Isley and where it can take us and hopefully be in an interesting direction. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
I am, well, we did talk about chicken wings, but I'm giving this chicken strips. I give it a fuck you 5. I can't stand it. I hate it. And I don't think that there's any thought in G. Willow Wilson's mind to progress Ivy in any sort of big way in this continuity or universe. I think that she is just, she's fine with going to spas, road trips, and making out with Janet. I don't think that she has a bigger idea of like being a caretaker and going, well, I'm just saying from what I read, I don't think that she is here to, man, I really want to establish Ivy in this different deal or whatnot. I just think she's just writing bullshit each time, and she's going to think of, almost like we say with Mark Russell, she's just going to think, well, what else ruins the environment? Well, I'll go rail on that. And then Ivy will show up.
See, now, Mark Russell is a writer that I could say, like, I could jump to this conclusion because of everything I've seen so far. That seems like he even goes on to say, I'm doing this and it doesn't matter what the characters does in his story as long as he can tell that story. He comes out and says that. So I can say that, Mark Russell, he will do things like that.
You've only read 2 things from G. Willow Wilson. And so, even only that, 2? I've read a couple. Yeah, you've read what's it called? Wonder Woman and this. That's all I think that you've actually.
All G. Willow done?
Yeah, so all the rest of the stuff was like Miss Marvel at Marvel and stuff like that, or The Dreaming. It's nothing that you would have read. You're not into a lot of those things. I just feel that
we had G. Willow Wilson more in DC Comics for some reason.
We had the big thing was Wonder Woman, which was kind of bullshit. She didn't really do much with Wonder Woman, but that's another thing. I just don't see any focus here, and I don't think that she has, that greater idea of being an impactful thing with actually. I think she's actually, an editorial will probably be afraid to really go full out because they want this book to continue. And I think they're going to go with just, hey, we'll just do these little things at the end. Nobody really gets hurt except, Cheryl's fucked at the end here, but we'll see. But should she be able to now control Cheryl because of all this nonsense?
Well, Cheryl's
stuff?
dead. This thing's different.
I'm saying this thing, but
that's what I was saying before.
Who knows what the idea. Fuck it is, Yeah. So I just think that we're like, it's truth or consequences, and I think they go, well, she got what she deserves. What happened if at the end, you look at it, she just turns into a tree and they leave, but they can't make like a tree and leave. Oh my God, there you go. But I didn't like that book, Eric, but I think I didn't like the next one more. But here we go. What's next?
The Joker, The Man Who Stopped Laughing, number 7, written by Matthew Rosenberg, with the backup by Matthew Rosenberg and Ryan Cady, and art by Carmine D.G. Domenico, Ramiro Fajardo Jr., Tom Napolitano, Will Robson, and Hi-Fi. And in this issue, sadly, we are still in L.A., where the real Joker is trying to make his flight to LAX to get back to Gotham. And it's the biggest problem with this book because I don't know if I'm alone in my, the idea of this, because I want to like this book because the concept of the faux Joker is my main concern. And I guess I was talking about, I don't know if I'm alone in that. Maybe people are here for a real Joker book. It's just every time we're here with the real Joker, it's just gags about LA that I can get on, I can figure out, but they're not for me because I'm not from LA. With the idea we're going to make fun of In-N-Out Burger and LAX and the freeway over here. It's just not a day in the life of Joker, even trying to catch a flight. That could be fun. It's a bunch of jokes that don't feel like they matter ultimately to get us from our point. And even throwing in Kate Spencer, the Manhunter. Yeah, you do some stuff with the idea that she became an alcoholic because with the job, you're doing what feels like character moments and character development for Kate Spencer and where she is currently in her career as a superhero, because nobody else is using Kate Spencer, but it's very sporadic and it feels weird here just to put Kate Spencer in this book, to give her something here to fight the Joker, but ultimately, where does that take us? Hey, there ain't no superheroes in LA. Well, I'm here. Okay.
Oh, man, she's called the Manhunter. They wouldn't like me if I was called a lady killer.
Hey, person hunter's on our tail.
I ended up arguing with Brad in the Slack, and we were talking about this, and he was saying, he agreed along the way of the idea of, some of these jokes are very specific to LA.
They are.
I'm like, here's the thing. I sat there and I even did a review of this on YouTube as well. But the idea where, oh my God, In-N-Out Burger, watch out. The Joker's in town to yell about you. I never
had Animal Style. All right, cool.
And oh man, everybody going crazy about these cheap burgers. Now, here's the thing. You have In-N-Out Burger in 7 states, so you're already limiting your deal. I had In-N-Out Burger. I was in Arizona visiting Tanya's aunt and uncle, and I'll tell you, it was delicious, Eric. I loved it. I really did like it. So the idea that it's like one of those things where is Matthew Rosenberg trying to be clever, like everybody loves it, but that's why the joke. But there's nothing clever about it. The jokes all seem to just get thrown at you. They fall flat for the most part. But really, in the end, I sit there and I'm like, stop telling your stupid fucking jokes and let's see some story. This book is 7 issues in, and we're no
Hope we
closer.
can make our flight. This 3 ways at a deadlock, like it always is at this time.
Yeah,
Am I right?
Man. And that's where all of a sudden it becomes.
Oh, you got me.
It becomes Saturday Night Live skit, The Californians, when they're like, "We should have taken 110 to Route 3." I'm like, really? Like all you need is what's that header guy giggling and breaking his deal. Yeah, I like him, but you end up in this though, like you keep waiting for something to happen. And then as it's not happening, I'm getting more and more angry. And I'm trying to, stay calm with this to actually explain. So it's not just a vendetta.
Why would you not stay calm?
Well, I'm saying because it angers me.
It's just a comic.
But this comic is overpriced, number one.
Have fun with it.
Like, that you have a backup, so the price goes up, right?
Which is ridiculous.
This book was already $4.99. This is a $5.99 book. This is $6. This is the most expensive, pretty much ongoing book, and nothing has happened in 7 issues. Again, we usually don't talk about the price because we get the copies free. We get review copies. I read the review copy. I felt like I was ripped off, Eric. How's that? I end up going through this, and you end up, well, I am, but I'm not easy, Eric. I am not. Yeah, kind of easy, too. So you start off the deal, and with that, I want to know, like you, and I really just want to find out about the faux Joker, not because I'm interested. It's because you're interested.
I'm interested, yeah.
So then I'm thinking to myself,
I deserve one.
What the fuck happens when we find out? I mean, is this something where we have to realize that the series is only based on? It's almost like the idea of the John Kent story where, oh my God, Ultraman's done. You did it. What are you going to do now? This book for 7 issues, we're no closer to anything. And I think that maybe the point is if you end up that mystery, then the book's over. So but you're not getting anything. It's not even enjoyable.
The thing is, you are getting some things in the background, which are the most enjoyable parts of this book. The majority of the issue is the real Joker trying to get to LAX. And
the background, you get Jason Todd transferred to Blackgate, and you get that little, we're in the sewer. You're dead.
Okay. I will tell you what we get. The character development on Manhunter and how she feels about things.
Who the fuck cares about Manhunter in this book?
People who cares about DC Comics as a whole.
Nobody cares about Manhunter where they're reading a Joker book and she just shows up. The idea that we come to a Joker book and you're impressed at a Manhunter development?
Yes, I am, because I like DC Comics.
Yeah, but that's not the Joker book, not the Manhunter book.
Okay, I guess I can't enjoy anything except for John Kent in the John Kent book.
Well, that's the thing. You did. This Manhunter doesn't even fit the story. It's just shoved in because L.A. doesn't have anything.
But she's there.
Yeah, but it's there to just pad out fucking nothing.
I thought it was handled well, is what I'm saying, for the idea of how a character feels who goes to become an alcoholic because of what the life brings her to, and sitting there in AA trying to be a better person for her son. I just thought it was pretty well done for an idea of a woman who is a superhero, who's a single mom, and wants to be better overall.
Well, you're right. I did look, and when they did announce this Joker book, I thought, I hope that we get Manhunter progression. And even then, it plays out that Joker just ends up showing up, and it's all thrown aside anyway. Do you think that any of this is going to make the Manhunter, Kate Spencer, any more viable or a better character going forward? Because nobody's going to.
It keeps her relevant.
Shit. Relevant. Telling you, is Solomon Grundy better because he bandaged up the faux Joker? I mean,
to a degree, I even like that idea. Where the faux Joker, though, it actually adds some background to the whole thing, because Solomon Grundy sees a kindred spirit in the faux Joker, and I want to know if it is true or not by the end of this. But we do come to a conclusion that Solomon Grundy feels for the faux Joker and wants to keep him I want to say alive, which is a weird thing to say.
I think that he's just saying he's a zombie that's been reanimated, and that's where we get the faux Joker. He says, you're dead.
Again, exactly, you're dead. And I want to know what that means and how that means anything to what we're doing, because I don't know how the guy itself is alive and actually like a Joker, but we know he got shot in the head. And him being dead here, I'm like, okay, I want to know more about that.
But again, when we play this, and it kind of came to be the deal with the idea where the backups have all been about the idea of having multiple Jokers. How could we have multiple Jokers? And now I'm like, I think that's all this bullshit from those backups are just what we're getting the bullshit in the front up as well. Is this going to explain anything I don't think it does anyway. And at the end, I'm just like, this is a mystery that I don't know who's interested besides you anymore. It's 7 issues. This is over a half a year of this book. And we have the Joker there yakking about fucking airports, and now Kate Spencer. I just don't know why this book even exists. And then Killer Moth just jumps out of a fucking plane. I'm like, okay.
I want to see how Killer Moth has anything to do with anything that's going on in the series, and why he's trying to get to LA to, I assume, meet up with the Joker. It's just a crazy situation where you make Killer Moth almost look like a badass for what he's doing because his flight's being rerouted because of what the Joker's currently doing right now in LA. And he says, well, fuck this. I paid you guys to get me where I need to go. Since you can't fulfill that and you're going to, move us to San Diego, well, I don't have to act like a civilized citizen anymore. The rules are gone because you broke our rules of engagement here. So he just grabs a parachute and he says, hey, and anybody asks, let him know this guy did. He just holds up the Killer Moth mask, opens up the plane, and just jumps out. I'm like, this is for the first time in a long time that you have done anything, Jory, that made you look like a badass.
That's still, and you say about the Kate Spencer stuff, I still think it's ridiculous. But Killer Moth is the best part of this book. And I end up where I'm there, and he's doing that, and it's quick, but you actually fear a bit of kill. It's funny because I do think that Matthew Rosenberg does it in a good way. He ends up, you don't really know exactly, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, it's Killer Moth, but yet he's a badass. That when he showed the mask, I'm like, oh shit, it's Ambush Bug. Oh, wait a minute, it's Killer Moth. I actually thought it was Ambush Bug at first. Like, what is he doing fucking around? And even then, it would have fit just as well as it. But when he jumps off, I'm like, oh man, yeah, that is a killer.
DB Cooper over here.
It's like DB Cooper, but it also, for some reason, it might be because of those sequels, but it reminds me of Point Break shit as well. I'm like, look at him, he's Point Breaking this shit. And I'm like, all right, I'll call him Brody from now on. And with all this going on, though, I want something to happen that kind of connects everything going on. And the Joker talking about
the Joker himself is the least interesting part about the story. Everything wrapped around is what I care about. Even the Jason Todd stuff, even though it's a weird, degression from where he was as a character, but I care about that character and I want to see where he goes from this. The faux Joker I care about. You're adding Killer Moth. I love Killer Moth because I want to see him get a win for once, and maybe he will here. And all this stuff, I like, even adding Kate Spencer. Am I a huge Manhunter fan? No, because I don't know anybody who's a huge Manhunter fan. But you're doing stuff here that's more interesting than the Joker in the own Joker book, and the majority of it is the regular Joker, and it sucks.
The thing about the Manhunter that I could get behind it a little more of it, and we talked about this on the Patreon, the idea of all the people dying in Heroes in Crisis. They were actually saved by Gold Beetle. They came back, all that. So that ended up where we're like, I don't know why we did that, but some people might be happy that you ended up tying that in and whatever. If there was something with Manhunter, any character that suddenly Matthew Rosenberg ends, and it does fix something that was inherently wrong with the character, some story that happened before that, say it was the Bendis fucking Leviathan shit.
Makes sense. Last time she was used.
And you would think of the idea, oh man, that really got under my skin. I wish that it was better. And this just feels like, what character can I use? What's her background? I'll tie it in here to waste time. It just wastes space. It's nice enough, but that's not why I'm
Joker
here.
In a dire situation where it looks like Kate Spencer is going to take it to the streets and drown the Joker in 4 inches of water after she T2'd him.
Is that something that you sit there and think, okay, drunk Kate Spencer, this is a good progression of her? I don't think she's going to kill anybody. I don't think she's going to end up killing Joker. Then she's pretty bad.
She's a manhunter
with that. Yeah, but she's not a man killer. But even that, it felt like
she ain't Batman either. She might take this to heart and figure, the world would be in a better place without the Joker.
That hey, who can I fuck around? Okay, you can use her. All right, I'll look into it. And at least he did look into it. He got the names right with the kid and stuff like that. Okay. But she wasn't, I love the idea where she's like, I'm Kate and they're like, oh, you can't use real names. I swear to God, I want her to say, okay, my name is Sue or something. She already used Kate, so she just goes with it. It's fine. But she almost says Superman. It's just because I don't know. But at the end, I just want to see what's going on with the Joker. Again, we don't buy the book, but if I had to buy this book,
I just want to see what's going on with the faux Joker.
Well, if I had to buy this book would not be on this podcast because I would not spend money on this nonsense that keeps meandering. It's not worth what you get, and the backups aren't worth it either.
Oh no, the backups are bullshit. They're not worth it at all.
Even when we get to the point where we have the faux Joker and Solomon Grundy, I end up, okay, maybe, let's get some things. Yeah, you get that kind of weird, hey, we're both dead. Okay, what does that mean? How are we going to go with it? Does Solomon Grundy think clones are dead, or is this a reanimated deal with?
I don't know if Solomon Grundy has a concept of clones.
Fucking Lazarus. We'll get some bullshit, but that at least is, okay, let's see what's going on. It may explain why you have that.
And in the next issue, been a while, Killer Crocodile.
Yeah.
Killer Croc coming up.
I kind of just want the mystery to be solved. Please, if we end up next issue and the real Joker's still in L.A. and now he's bitching and moaning.
Well, I don't know how he's getting out of L.A. next issue.
What else could he bitch and moan about now? Again, we're just going to sit there and meander with him. He's going to be mad about something, casting couches.
Maybe Kate Spencer will kill this Joker, and what we'll be left with is the faux Joker as our main one.
I thought that's how we're going to end the series when we do. Maybe. It'll be the idea, but it'll be ambiguous. Which one is it? But really, does it matter at that point? As long as you think you're that, whatever, you have that going on. But
I just know that the faux Joker feels different than our regular Joker. And maybe that's because of brain trauma. I don't know.
Maybe. But again, I mean, when Oliver came back as a construct, were we that upset? It's still him, right? When Tony Stark didn't know if he was an AI or whatever. Whatever.
It was a problem because, Oliver had to go and get his soul back because Etrigan was going to kill him because he was a dirty, filthy hollow.
So the only thing I can think of is if the book ends with some crazy, wacky shit like that, all it is going to set up yet another book where we'll meander again with that. But you do have the backup. It's Ryan Cady with Matthew Rosenberg.
Yeah.
It's okay. Again, all these backups are...
No, they mean nothing. It's just goofy nonsense.
It's just to show why there could be multiple Jokers, and in this, he's running to be president.
That doesn't do it for me.
And you end up, that's what they are. That's what he says they are. I'm just saying, the 100%.
Idea of that, it doesn't make any sense why there are multiple Jokers. Well, what about multiple fucking Gaggies and Jackanapes and stuff like that? It's just random situations with a Silver Age kind of tinge to it that are just nonsense overall. And in this issue, the Joker's running for president. And the best part about this is I don't mind this one because I think they're all nonsense. I don't think we need them at all, but it's just kind of funny because everybody hates the Joker, even though the idea of him running for president doesn't stop anything. And they keep having body doubles come out for him who Deathstroke keeps killing over and over again. And it's funny to the point where, I'm not going to do this presidential thing anymore, but I am. It doesn't make sense. I'm the King of England. Whatever.
Look at me. I wish he said he was the Queen of England. Just me.
It's just funny to me that these multiple Jokers getting murdered over and over again, and the real Joker I'm glad I didn't walk out there.
That is a funnier gag and a funnier concept than anything I think that we've gotten in the whole run of the front up. That actually is funny, the idea that they keep getting picked up. These poor people who are there as his body doubles.
But Gaggy did get killed again.
It's not the greatest story. They mean nothing, but
no, absolutely not.
It actually does have a little...
It's the best one, though.
It has a better sense of humor, this one especially, than anything that I've seen from Matthew Rosenberg himself in the front up or even the other backups. And I don't know. I just don't get it. The idea that I think Matthew Rosenberg thinks that you're having so much fun in the regular issue that he can just not tell a story, I think that's bullshit. I think that he needs to get off the pot and start giving, it's this long running deal, but 7 issues with just this and then this issue again, nothing really.
You didn't resolve anything in the first trade at all.
No. Yeah. Now we're in the first issue of, I said, when you end up having shit baby Jokers, the only thing that anybody ever talked about that first 6 issues, it is a problem because that was nothing. He even said, his defense was, it meant nothing. That's where I got and finally saw, oh shit, that's why you do those backups? It's supposed to be a Silver Age version of how there would be multiple Jokers. Oh my God, it's such a laugh. It's not. And this whole series, I think, is down.
I will tell you this, though. As much as I think that this backup is the best one, it's not perfect, and I don't think we need it, but I did enjoy the idea, even though I'm the King of England, and it's like the end, ... For American readers, anyway, I got a giggle out of that, too.
Yeah, I did. I'm like, no. I actually thought, thank God, I'm in America. Thank God, USA, I was chanting because I thought we were done. I'm like, I don't have to read this book anymore, USA. But that's not this. But yeah, it's weird, too, because, again, in all sorts of deals, one of the things that keeps coming to mind is the Amazing Spider-Man right now, where we have just this awful story that you're never getting to an end. Now they're actually getting to it by issue 25 or 26. But that's I feel crazy. The same way as this is when we do get to an explanation, the more you meander like this, the better that ending has to be. You can't go, you know what I mean? You can't go 15 issues.
I like long form storytelling, but you have to give us something every issue.
Yeah, and that's he thinks these jokes about In-N-Out Burger and, oh my God, watch out, LAX. He's on your ass. I don't need that. Now we're starting to get more into like a Mark Russell thing. The
Joker's stuck in a traffic jam for 2 issues. It's not progression for our story. It is padding.
You got to watch out because by the end, if you just end up saying like at the end, like, hey, by the way, that other faux Joker, Lazarus, and he came back, and you'd be like, what the fuck? But maybe it'll be good.
If Lazarus is mentioned anywhere in the series, I'm flipping my goddamn desk that I'm using right now.
I'm telling you.
As we're talking.
And it'll be like it'll be the idea, and it'll be some funny version though, Eric. It ended up getting flushed down the toilet with an alligator like Killer Croc.
Because I'm telling you, there are aspects to this I look forward to and I enjoy in this issue, and I want to find out the mystery of Ro. But if it's just thrown away, baby in the bathwater bullshit at the end, I'm like, nope, you got me. I'm a goddamn fool, and I can't deal with that.
Hot water burn baby, Eric.
Baby.
What I'm hearing from you here, and I don't want to be an enabler, Eric. I want to reach out and help my buddy that I see him going down the dark path again. This book is now your world's finest. This is the nonsense that I heard every damn month of the... No.
The new 52 world's finest. You got to specify.
It'll get better next... Yeah, the whole deal with Power Girl and Huntress. The idea... how was this issue, Eric? Oh, it was bullshit. They did nothing. But I think that it'll get better. It'll get better.
I think there might have been 30 issues in that series. There was that one really good issue where Earth 200 was with Damian Wayne.
I was going to say, you need now.
I think that was issue number 8 or something like that. Maybe 7.
I need one of those issues to pop up to get on board. But I mean, I'm telling you, the way that you used to non-sell that book to me.
There's no reason that book shouldn't have been amazing.
Every month you bought that book, and every Monday, because you would get your books on Saturday, you'd come in Monday, and I'd say... How was it, Eric? And I would see your review anyway, but I'd say, especially when we're doing that, but, hey, how was it? Oh, it sucked. It was so bad. It was worse than the last one. And you would get, I'm telling you, there was the idea of, anger, denial. You went through the stages of grief to then Saturday getting it again. And then saying to me on Monday, the next Monday, Eric, why are you getting this? Well, I had it on my pull list and Tony got it. I can't screw him. And then you'd be like, Wednesday, you'd be, I think I'm going to call Tony right now I'm going to tell him to get, I forgot. I'm going to get it. It sucked. That's all I hear. And even the Poison Ivy, you will grasp onto a concept or an idea, and it will keep you going with these books where I need something each issue, like you said. And when you have a Poison Ivy or this, it just happens that I'm not that intrigued, where I think it's just clear focus of this book is bullshit. But if you are intrigued by it, that does give you that hope. That does give you that idea to keep going with it. Because again, the faux joke, this isn't, as I brought up, Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells right now. This isn't Mary Jane having a husband and kids. I mean, this is just a book where, hey, I want to know what's up.
I'm so happy I stopped reading Marvel.
I want to know, like, it's not that upsetting. It's not like trying to like punch you in the face, but it's a Joker book. You're relying on that people like the Joker, so they're going to buy it. And it was selling. It's starting to go down, but you still need to give something besides LAX and In-N-Out Burger jokes. You really do. Maybe he's going to go where the Joker, get this, the Joker, he can't leave. So their road trip, and each section of the country, he'll just get regional humor. Like he hits St. Louis and he's like, what's up with this crazy chili spaghetti thing? Right?
What's that? Tell you, I don't know a lot of regional stuff.
It's a crazy deal there. Or like you end up somewhere where, I don't know. Hey, I don't like this Kroger. Do you ever go to a Kroger?
Yeah,
supermarket.
Kroger.
Like maybe they'll rail into Kroger, right?
I just imagine we'll get to Chicago. Waffles will get a freaking, like, I thought I told you to get a pie, not a freaking casserole.
Exactly, like that. Then we hit and like, oh man, what's this Wawa? And then all of a sudden he's eating a cheese stick with green peppers. Oh my God, you did it.
He's from Gotham. He should know what a Wawa is.
That is true. That'd be funny if you just saw a Wawa there, right there. I did see the other day, just as a funny deal, Harry Styles from One Direction and now he's solo. Huge fan of Wawa. It's his favorite thing ever. He discovered Wawa, and then he said that every day he'd go to Wawa. He has to be rich if he goes there every day, because those sandwiches are way overpriced.
I'd love to go every day. I can't afford it.
Some of that stuff, me and you used to really enjoy Wawa a lot more, but they tended, when they started adding more menu items, things really started going up. And when you end up where, I'll have that large, mac and cheese, that's, I don't know, like $50, right? I think the last time I went. And you're like, this used to be the small, the In-N-Out Burger I really did enjoy. But even then, it's like, these fries taste like cardboard. I'm like, really? Like, okay.
The shake's good. Yeah, but how can you mess up a shake, really?
No, again, what they should have done is, the big thing shouldn't have been the shake. It should have been, well, at least their ice cream machine works. I don't even know if they have that, but it would have been a funny deal against the Mickey D's.
I love Mickey D's.
See, there you go. I almost had Mickey D's the other day because the Phillies won, and I could get a free chicken sandwich. I'm always going for the deal.
A McCrispy, Jim. A McCrispy.
Yeah, it is the McCrispy. So I almost
do it the times,
go.
Grandpa.
Next time they win. I actually miss the Big Macs.
They played today, didn't they?
Yeah, I'd have to see if it's in. I always check the app. I'm like, ooh, it's free. It's for me. You actually have to buy like $2 worth of things, but I get a drink and something. Well, I actually before.
Hey, Phillies won.
No, the best was okay. I'm in. The best was though when the Eagles won, you got a Big Mac, which I'm not a huge fan. But
no, they're gross.
To get the free Mac, you only needed to spend $1. So I would get a large Diet Coke. That was like $1.50. I'm in. But now I'm not.
I guess they expect the Phillies to win more. Actually, there's way more games, so it makes sense.
That's the problem. Yeah. And the thing is, because I want to cut back on my salt, which I shouldn't be eating the Big Mac anyway. I don't want to get fries, but that would be what I would get to cover that money, Eric. So I haven't gone actually since, but I might get the
woes of Jim Warner.
It is. I want to cut back. I'm actually no salt, no sugar diet right now.
Fun.
No, it isn't fun at all. It actually really sucks. But Tanya and me decided we have to do that. Tanya ends up where they said her blood sugar is getting up to a point where if she doesn't do something about it, things will go wrong. Well, that's what will happen. And she's given the opportunity. Stop it now. Stop eating Lucky Charms for every meal. Right? And she goes,
Fascist.
And she says to me, I don't really eat the Lucky Charms. I just eat the marshmallows. I'm like, say that again and listen to what you're saying. Like, that's worse. That's worse. So I'm forcing her into eating. But I'm there. And at night, all of a sudden I hear a bag crunkle. I'm like, what the fuck? Where did you get these Lucky Charms?
Never you mind.
She's like a drunk. It's hidden all over the place, these fucking Lucky Charms. But, yes. Rafe got mad at her about eating Lucky Charms and wanted to stop her, so she had a box of Lucky Charms. He poured bong water into it. And, that's bad in and of itself. You're probably thinking,
your house.
But he ended up doing that. Tanya still was debating whether or not she, like, no, holy crap. But what would you give this book?
Ultimately, I think the art is great throughout, and especially in the backup as well. Like, that's one thing, like, you don't like to think about the backups as to, like, a part of the book because it usually just sucks. It doesn't mean anything anyway. But the art's good in that in the main story, and there are a lot of good character moments and things that I look forward to in the next issue that we had here. It's just the majority of the issue is the Joker-centric stuff, and I hate all of that for the most part. And it's just not a lot of fun overall, unless you just like digging into LA and you're from the area. I don't know what that, like, who's that's for, but I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm a 3.5. I didn't like it at all. And maybe by the time we get to more revelations, get towards more of a solving of the mystery, I'll jump on board. But right now, I'm just bored, Eric. And
but now they're gonna Rorschach Jason Todd and Blackgate because he's not locked up there with them. They're locked up in there with him.
Yeah, and I maybe we'll get, like, it'd be nice to get an issue with him and find out something, but that's even beyond what the real focus of the story is. Him and Blackgate, that doesn't really push the faux Joker story, and you know what I mean? So hopefully something works out. I still don't know why he's even in jail right now. He ended up shooting.
He was out and about brandishing a gun in front of the police.
Do that, but he ended up.
I'm pretty sure he's a wanted man.
I think they're like, he murdered somebody, but there was only clay and whatever. And it is a dick move. I mean, usually Batman has things in there where things like when Selena and stuff ended up having problems, he'll end up making it not. And I'm not talking Selena now. I'm talking about, remember when she was wanted for the murder of like 300 people and then
212.
Yeah. So, but by the end of it, maybe once we get back to some things and maybe see some of the, story at least, I'll get on board. But right now, I'm kind of, like I said, I'm kind of bored.
At least care a little bit about.
Yeah, I just want some progression. I want to get done an issue and say, okay, that was worth coming and reading and reviewing it. And if people are buying it, it's worth buying. But right now, I don't see that. But I do. It's a weird thing because I like Frank Avila's art, but because they were in bullshit backups and because it was I didn't like it as much because I do like the art in this. I think that having an art that's somewhat more similar to the regular book, it works out okay and does a good job. So at the end, I'm still not liking it. But what is your book of the week here?
My book of the week is Adventures of Superman, John Kent, #2.
That is mine as well. Actually, I didn't even, when we went to start, I didn't really even know what would be my book of the week, but that definitely was the one. Even with its problems, I thought that it was pretty decent enough. You got some moments.
I agree.
You got some moments with it, and hopefully Tom Taylor will give us. I don't know that's the thing too,
bring
right?
Ultraman back to life.
The idea, the funny play of it is, where I was worried because of the story. Well, now that kind of gets pushed aside, so it's actually exciting to see what the fuck this book's going to be about. So
what's next?
Yeah, I mean, holy moly.
It's all new.
What can we
it's
do?
all different.
What didn't they do, Eric? It would be funny, like, all of a sudden, Lazarus brings back, and I mean resin.
Would you stop saying Lazarus?
But the Earth 3 Lazarus, it's just Lazarus, Eric. That's all it is. So,
but we're on Earth Injustice, whatever the number is. I don't remember off the top of my head. Actually, the whole thing is like, I don't remember the Injustice, but does it even matter now that the multiverse has been recreated and things have been renumbered? I don't know anymore.
Yeah, it's 69, dude. But here's what we have next week. We have not that many books. And so me and Eric are we have an idea. We have a plan of what we might do next week. So you'll find out then, people. That really we do. That's what we usually say when we have no fucking clue. But we do have some ideas and we're shooting them around. But because there's not many books that we deal with coming out next week, it's one of the least amount of books we've actually ever had in a week, I think. But two of these books, two of them will be on the Patreon Spotlight. So if you want to definitely get two of the books, you can end up going to patreon.com/weirdscience and you will get that episode. But here's what we have to pick from. Batman Incorporated #7. That book, Eric, is selling horribly from the last sales, and I'm worried because it's one of those books that I'm afraid, I said it before, I'm afraid that it's going to end up getting canceled before it actually starts getting going because we ended up, and so it is a problem. But I always do kind of like it each week. I do enjoy it enough, but it does have to pick it up a bit. We also
Except for Cloud Hunter being a jerk last issue and acting like weird in my mind. I thought it was one of the better issues.
Yeah, it was. Once we got past the idea of, oh my God, everybody that, trained Ghostmaker, they're dying. That really didn't feel like a Batman Incorporated story.
All right, Batman Incorporated, we got to go to Gotham and take care of some shit for Batman.
And remember, I even liked the idea of how, El Gaucho was kind of, going around and kind of turning a new leaf. I actually did like that. You got more of the characters,
and some more background on Red Raven, or Raven Red, I mean.
Yeah, Raven Red. We have Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods 3. Seems like very quick, but I'm looking forward to that. Some people have said that not much happens. That's my biggest thing that I worry, especially coming out of issue #2. But we'll see how that is. We have a book we're going to throw in there because we didn't know that there was this amount, but Multiversity hardly screws up the DCU #2.
Yeah, we did #1. So.
Yeah, we did #1, but I think by the end, because people were saying, oh, you and Eric said you might not do it again, but you don't have anything, so we're going to throw that.
And, I don't recall.
And possibly Superman Lost #2. I saw you were telling people that you actually liked the first issue. I didn't. I thought it was boring.
I like the concept of the story, but it got bogged down by overly techno-babble political talk that Priest does to get us to the story that everybody cares about. The entire setup went way too long and was overwritten to get to what anybody actually cared about in that story. And once we got to the concept, I'm like, yes, we're here. Let's do it.
That the problem is I don't want to spoil it, but I've read the second issue and not a lot happens. So I'm worried it's going to be another one of these meandering things, but we might talk about that as well. But that's it. I mean, and that's the idea of, we could throw that on there, even though we didn't do the #1. There's 4 books. 2 of those will be on the Patreon Spotlight, and we may end up adding some extra things by the end of the podcast next week to give you a taste of what we do on the Patreon deal. Maybe an older Spotlight. I might go and grab a couple, books, select things that we have done in the past that might give you an idea of what we do with the Spotlights and things, maybe get people intrigued to go over and help us out and join the Patreon and have some fun with that. So we'll be doing that, but we'll see. You'll see, Eric.
Okay.
You'll see.
That's a no. It's like your parents telling you maybe.
Now that's me, Gold Beetle. Like, hey, how the hell did that happen? You'll see. I'm like, no, I won't. But that's that. That is it. And again, just to push the idea over on the Patreon right now, if you want more from this week, we did talk about The Flash 796 and Batman the Joker Deadly Duo #6. That's over there on the Patreon. Right now, it's about an hour and a half or so, I think it was. So, yeah, there's a meaty podcast you can get along with all the other stuff. But that's it. We are done. Eric, what do we say at the end of the show?
Everybody have a great week. Keep it weird. And we'll see you in 7.
See you in 7.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
The Wolfman.
Piece of shit.